Clash Royale Gamestars League Season 2 Regional Finals flew by like a fireball during the final map. Let's meet our contenders, who get qualified for the next stage. The winner of the Me qualifiers beat his opponents on the domestic arena without too much trouble. Just take a look.
Bir tane daha vurdu. Bir tane daha vurdu. Alev topunu da attı. 493'e kadar getirdi. Son 7 saniye kala. Son 7 saniye kala. Sol tarafı mükemmel bir şekilde indirmeye başardı ya Gamestars'tan. Ya.
During the regional finals, he showed decent results. Let's see if his level of play remains unchanged in international clashes.
Almayı başardı. Son 10 saniye kaldı. Good game dedi. Zaten sağdaki kuleyi alsa bile de soldaki kuleyi almasının mümkünatı yok. Zaten elektro dev destesinin içerisinde şey vardı ya arkadaşlar. Yıldırım vardı, alev topu almış.
The player advanced to the next stage despite the problems he faced during the regional finals.
Lazım ama yıldırım da atmıyor. Evet, şu anda yıldırımı attı ama çok geç kaldı. Bakalım buradan sonra ne yapabilecek, götürebilecek mi işi? 600 ve 366 can kala Siyok roketi atarak oyunu kazanmayı başardı. Orada
in the battle for the first place in his region, he lost to Gens Aslan. But this defeat will only strengthen his desire to win. Will he be able to surprise everyone in the next stage?
Şarjlandı, vurdu diyecektim ki vuramadı. Cuma'nın şu anda sadece bir alev topu ve bir oka kuleyi alabildiğini görüyorum. Bir alev topunu da attıktan sonra Cuma maçı kazanıyor ve rövanşta.
His path at the stage of regional finals was cut short in the lower bracket semifinals. But don't write him off.
We're going to game number 4.
The winner of the regional finals of Western Europe made his way through the lower bracket to the grand final, in which he took a well-deserved first place.
There is no way 2 bombers, a Dark Prince, an Inferno, E-Barbs coming down on the right-hand side with the Heal Spirit. How on earth was Inthril able to defend that? Lightning in defensively. Inferno gonna connect on that top left-hand tower. That's gonna do it. Inthril gets 4th place.
He easily passed his opponents on the way to the grand final of his region, where he lost to Liganser. Let's see whether he recovered from this defeat.
Trouble for Sasa. A bit of an overspend here. Belican can very lightly defend on the right-hand side. He just gets a Dark Prince up high. And piggies galore on the map. Mother Witch there as well. Ram Rider gonna get in behind all of that. And just like that, Belly calls good game. The quick 3-0 from Belican.
His style of play makes it clear that in the next stage, his opponents will be very difficult.
Some space, but a really nice, clean defense there from Sasa, who's completely in control of this game at the moment. Bomber drill in. Arrows have to come out defensively on top of that bomber for a -1 trade. 1 goblin still on the tower. Wow, that goblin does work. Poison comes in, and just like that, we are all even going to game number 2.
During the regional finals, he has grown incredibly as a player. Let's see what he can do against his opponents at the international stage.
Счет сдается здесь. Сдается здесь аристократка. Но тут поплыл, да, здесь шансов. Он на 0 эликсира поставил арбалет. Как это все защищать было непонятно. Отдает игру, ну и хорошо. Не будем смотреть просто на мучения, в которых очевиден исход, скажем так. 1-1 счет.
He passed through the regional finals with his head held high, but will he be able to overcome the complexities of the international finals?
Эти изменения вышли прямо в момент турнира, но так бывает. Ну и что ж, по левой стороне Гоблин Громила нанес очень много дэмэджа, не хватает заклинаний. Здесь сейчас Тибегу, теряет он вышку справа. И, в общем-то, наверное, на этом все. Наверное, на этом все для Тибега здесь.
The winner of the regional finals of Eastern Europe demonstrated a phenomenal level of play, which will incredibly stir up interest in matches with his participation.
Ну, я остался кинуть бревно. Да. Осталось кинуть бревно, и это 3-0. Более чем уверенная победа топиком.
His opponents should be incredibly careful during their face-to-face encounters if they want to advance to the next stage.
Пошел наш Шахтер, не ловит Гоблин копейки. Кидай фаербол направо-то. Он выиграл. Выиграл же, получается. 1-1, что ли, получается? 1-1, что ли, получается.
Watch Clash Royale Gamestars League Season 2 streams and support your favorites as they battle it out at the international finals.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the international group stage of Gamestars Season 2. That's right. It felt like we just wrapped up Season 1. We gave all that money to Hugo, but we're already back, and we've whittled it down to 16 of the best players from all around the world competing for over $30,000. What's up, everyone? I am Andrew Guy. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Happy Monday to you. I hope you're Clash Royale action, and here at Gamestars, it's a lot of fun in the international group stage. As I said, 16 players remain. They worked through their regional finals, as you saw there in our intro video. And of course, a big part of how they got here today are the rules behind Gamestars. We have a fun little video for you guys to check out right now.
Greetings, kings and queens. Do you know what are two of the most ridiculous things that Clash Royale fans can do? The first one, attacking Golem with arrows. And the second one, missing the Gamestars Clash Royale Season 2 tournament. Because this is gonna be a spectacular clash of the most powerful players in the world. Let's take a look at how everything works here. From August to September, the open qualifiers were held in 3 regions: Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and Middle East. 8 best players from each region advanced to corresponding national finals. 4 best players from each national finals moved to the international finals. So we have 12 nationals finalists in total, who were enforced by 4 invited stars. Top 4 players from Gamestars Clash Royale Season 1. The international finals will consist of 2 stages, the group stage and the playoffs. In the group stage, all 16 players will be seeded into 4 groups with 4 participants each. There they will play classic best of 5. 2 most powerful players from each group will advance to the next stage. As for the rest, we'll wish them success in the next season of Gamestars. In other words, 8 players will make it to the playoffs, which will be held in a double elimination format. That means players will have a second chance to fight for the throne, and not only for the throne. The tournament's prize pool of $30,000 is at stake. Do not miss the main esport event in the world of Clash Royale. The group stage will be held from October 18th to the 22nd, and the epic playoff awaits for you from November 3rd to the 5th. So grab your royal snacks and check out the fierce battles of Gamestars Clash Royale Season 2.
That's right, an entire week of Clash Royale action. I'll be joining you every single day this week, and of course, for our playoffs, where, as you just saw, $30,000 on the line. My goodness. First place going to take home $7,000. That's an insane amount of money as we take a look at this graphic here. Prize pool distribution for our finals. It just gets better and better. I mean, you talk about walking away with almost $10,000 in first place. Second place gets $3,400. Third place gets $22,000. And then there's still a great amount to give to everyone else along the way, all the way down to 16th place. So today, even if you don't make it to our top 8, you get a little bit of money to take home. And of course, if you made it through our regional finals, you probably got a little bit of cash along the way. Talking about our regional finals, getting us to our international group stage, as you guys saw, 12 players were able to play through their specific regions, and then 4 players were invited from our previous season of Gamestars. Let's take a look and meet some of the players that we won't be seeing today. We're going to be only focusing on Group A and our 4 best of 5s, as you see right there. One Hive Hunter, our number 1 seed. Minikuma Demas is back, and so is Ligan CR Demas. You guys all know him as the Mega Knight Master. Let's see if he can put it together this season. Looking at Group C, here are some names you probably recognize. SB fell just a little bit short last season. Sasa is back after dominating St. Belican earlier on in this whole group stage, but it was a little different there because it was supposed to be double elimination. Either way, great players. COK is here, and so is Topic. Let's take a look at Group B and the 4 players there. Hugo, our former champion, is in this group, along with Inthro, who's been doing some really great stuff over in the Royale Masters competition. You guys probably know Jensi Aslan from Turkey, a very, very notoriable player. Jesus, I can't even talk. Who is a very, very strong player we saw in Season 1. And of course, St. Belican, our former pro. And here we go. Our Group A today, the 4 players that will be playing in our 4 best of 5s. Lucas GSM from Portugal and Dia Boom will be kicking things off. There's also the Awesome from Egypt and Predator from Belarus, who was also in Season 1. So a lot of repeat customers here in our GameStars Season 2, which is great. It means that they had a good time, they like the format, they want to get that cash, and they know that there's some really, really good competition out there with CRO Last Chance Qualifier right around the corner, with Royale Masters Last Chance Qualifier right around the corner. What a great way to get some more practice in against some of the best in the world. This is going to be our schedule for the day. We're going to start off with Lucas GSM versus Dia Boom, Portugal and Russia. Exciting stuff there. And then we're going to go on to the Awesome versus Predator. Now, after that, we're going to go to the losers match, so the loser of those first 2 matches, and then we'll go to the winners match. And as you guys saw in that video, the top 2 players advance, the bottom 2 players say goodbye. Now, when we get to our international finals, we're going to get to a little bit different of a format. It's going to be GameStars twist on the dual format, which is when we get to the finals, each player has to submit 3 decks. They have to win with all 3 of those decks, and they can only repeat 6 of the same cards. But here in this group stage, you can do whatever you want. No holds barred. Let's take a look at the competitors that we're going to be seeing today.
Hello, my name is Lucas. My nickname is Lucas GSM, and right now I have like 6,700 trophies because I'm not really pushing. I only play competitions.
Всем привет, меня зовут Эльдар. Мой игровой никнейм это Диабум. На данный момент у меня 6600 кубков.
I've been playing Clash Royale since the beginning when my friends told me about the games in high school, so like for 4 or 5 years.
В Clash Royale я начал играть с релиза, но после я забрасывал на какое-то время, затем вернулся, и на данный момент я играю в него уже около 5 лет.
I like to watch series, I like to play games, and I really like to go to the gym. I go to the gym every day almost.
В свободное от игры время я учусь, и основное свое время я трачу на учебу. Все остальное я провожу вместе с друзьями.
Usually my favorite decks have like the Goblin Cage, the Ice Wizard, the Tornado. I really like these control decks, not cycle decks, but like control decks that you can like wait for double, triple elixir, and then you can take out the tower most of the time.
Ну, в моем представлении вообще нет идеальной колоды, но лично для меня это является одна из вариаций с кладбищем. Она состоит из карт кладбища, маленький дракончик, торнадо и бочка с варваром. Остальные 4 карты, они могут меняться в зависимости от меты в том или ином сезоне.
I think for the new players, they need to watch gameplay. If they want to improve, they really need to watch like gameplay from the best players, like Mohamed Light and Lucas, she's gamer. You know, I think those are the best tips I can give you to improve. Like watching gameplay from the best is the best way.
Ну, первый совет – это нужно уметь проигрывать. Совет номер 2 – это нужно научиться сдерживать свои эмоции. То есть при проигрыше нужно быть хладнокровным. Это одно из важных для меня лично в этой игре. Ну и совет номер 3. Чтобы научиться играть, нужно играть как можно больше, и можно смотреть всякие стримы, всякие ролики у различных топ-игроков.
I wish everyone good luck in my group, and hopefully the best player in that day wins.
Ну, много говорить не хочу. Группа довольно сложная мне попалась, поэтому я просто пожелаю удачи своим соперникам.
So those are our first 2 competitors that we'll be seeing today. Obviously, Lucas GSM from Portugal, Dia Boom from Russia. 2 very different players when you look at their profiles, let's say on Royale API, as Lucas was talking about there. He's not really a big ladder pusher, and honestly, if you look at his profile, other than the fact that it tells you he's a pro, and you probably recognize his name, there's not a lot of evidence there other than the fact of the amount of tournaments that he's played in. He's an exceptional tournament player. He's always good when it's coming to the highest level of competition. But it's always fascinating to me when you look at someone's profile. They don't play a lot of grand challenges. They don't play a lot of ladder. But one thing I do see when we are looking at his profiles, we see a lot of graveyard here in Lucas GSM's most recent battles. So it'll be interesting to see if he busts that out today or if he's going to try to keep his opponents guessing. On the other side of it, when you look at Dia Boom, I mean, this is a guy that loves to push ladder at 8.3K personal best. He's got a bunch of grand challenges in the bank. And when you look at what he's been playing as of late, excuse me, it's a lot more Mortar, which is good for me. You guys know how I feel about Mortar, my favorite win condition in the game. I'm seeing a lot of double spawner as well, some freeze with Balloon, and of course the dragons in there. Electro Dragon making a bit of a resurgence right now in the current meta. Seems like because of the lack of lightning, because of the lack of ability to get directly on top and the single target DPS on those air units, seems like Electro Dragon is doing a really great job currently in the meta. That reset, that stun, and of course the ability to hit numerous small baity troops from far away. So you know, when you talk about the styles of play, they both seem to enjoy control, but Lucas definitely a player that's going to lean a little bit more into that when you talk to him about his favorite cards, favorite win condition being Graveyard, and the favorite cards you heard Tornado and Ice Wizard, things like that. It's going to be all about controlling the game. And you know, when you look at what Lucas GSM has done over the last week, at least for me, taking a look at what he did at Royale Masters, he came in, he wasn't able to take home the prize yesterday, but he had a great run in the open qualifier day on Saturday. Dia Boom we didn't see as much of there, but Lucas, who I've become very familiar with between Gamestars and now Royale Masters, some really great stuff from him, and I'm excited to hop into our first game here. That's right, international group stage, best of 5. Lucas GSM from Portugal, top of your screen. Dia Boom at the bottom from Russia. Excited to see what these guys have to bring to us today. Was Dia Boom, who finished in 3rd place out of the Eastern European regionals. And of course, Lucas GSM being our #1 seed in Group A, just got an invite from the previous season. So bottom of the screen going to be Witch with Giant, which means probably going to see Graveyard there. And of course, Dia Boom does rock the Graveyard along with Inferno. Inferno also in a really good place in the meta right now. Skarmy going to come out early on here. Snowball there to meet. Ram Rider will connect. Lucas GSM ready to go on that. And Dia Boom already taking a good amount of damage early on. And that's one of the more fascinating things about this Giant Graveyard deck is you do play a little bit more aggressive than you normally would with other strictly control Graveyard decks. It feels like this deck is definitely a bit more aggressive. Not a big fan of playing against this deck. It's somewhat fun to play, but Lucas here can lock down his defenses and make sure he's always holding that poison for the Graveyard. He should be in a good spot. He has a lot of great single target DPS. And I think most importantly, when you look at his responses to the Giant, he has great ways to slow that Giant down. So this time, Lucas going to go poison offensively, try to take this Witch out of play. And we'll see if Dia Boom just decides to go super aggressive here. No, he just decides to cycle some arrows. Inferno Dragon out on both sides. This time Fireball coming down along with the Snowball. Ram Rider still connects. 10-18 remains. And you heard Dia Boom talk a little bit there during his video about one of the things that he would advise newer players to do, and that's to not get emotionally invested in losses. It's a very difficult thing to do, as we all know how tilting it can be when you do lose, but that is some advice that he wanted to give out, and as of right now, he's keeping a pretty cool head with a really rough start. So Dia Boom slowing things down a little bit after the aggressive Graveyard to start things off. And now it looks like he's trying to build somewhat of a push here on the left-hand side. Lucas GSM is going to just set up a defense on his left-hand side, probably cycling everything here, getting ready to see if he's going to get that Graveyard pulled on him once again. There you go. Inferno down back behind the Princess Tower. And then he goes opposite lane. Giant Graveyard aggressive here. Should have a Ram Rider plus poison. There it is. Ram Rider comes out to slow that Giant down. Poison to clean those Skellies up. And then this is where it becomes a little bit more difficult, is if you don't have the Inferno available, what do you have to get enough damage on that Giant in time? That was a great recognition there by Dia Boom, seeing a bit of an opening with that Inferno Dragon cycled in the left-hand lane. Here we go, both players resetting once again. Lucas GSM does have about a 900, let's make that 700 HP advantage here as Diaboom pulls the trigger on another Graveyard plus Witch Push here on the right-hand side. Skarmy to clean up a Ram Rider plus Mega Knight. That's not what you want to see. MK to clean up all those skeletons, but work being done on the opposite lane. Witch on the tower, and all of a sudden we are in a foot race. Giant to kite the MK away. Dark Prince there to add some pressure and clean up that Electro Wizard. Not really worried about the HP on that left-hand side is Diaboom. Neither is Lucas GSM with how low this right-hand tower is. Dark Prince connects with the charge, gets a bunch of swings and slaps in there. Bandit gonna dash on top of that Witch. That's good interactions there for our friend Lucas GSM. Skarmy comes down late. Skelly's off the board. Ram Rider connects. And that is about as close as you get. You can see on Diaboom's face that hurts just a little bit, but you love what you saw there. Diaboom goes hyper aggressive early on, just recognizes that's not going to work out for him. And honestly, I wonder if he would have slowed his roll just a little bit in the beginning of this game. Would he be in a better position moving forward? You saw there at the very end, it became very, very close when you're talking about HP. You get the Ram Rider coming down the lane here. Poison's already in though, so Skarmy nowhere to be dropped, and that's a bit of a nice looking into the future there for Lucas GSM. I'm not sure if it was because he was trying to take off. I'm trying to think of what it was. I think it was the Witch earlier, but I think that late Poison sticking around, hanging out was really the it factor of those final moments. There was just no way for Diaboom to defend. You saw him throw in that Fireball. Anything else there would have been great, but the Skarmy is all he had. It goes into the Poison, ticks away, they all go off the board. Ram Rider connects, and just a couple hundred HP remaining on that right-hand tower for Lucas GSM. A nice close finish to start our day here in Group A. But Diaboom already down one game. You can see right there, he got 4 graveyards out, which is pretty impressive. I still think maybe he was a little bit too aggressive early on, and you can see there with Lucas GSM, he was able to just basically play those 4 cards for the entire game. The Bar Barrel, the Bandit, the Electro Wizard, and the Ram Rider. And basically just control everything. Poison was there to clean up the graveyards. And of course, that MK at the bridge and those Infernos being cycled. But there's really those 4 cards that seem to do all the work there for Lucas. And another thing that I saw on Diaboom's most recent games played was a lot of double spawner. We'll see how it fares here in game number 2. So just a slow start here. Lucas looking to show signs of Royal Giant. Diaboom going double spawners. We'll see if he has a firm win condition there, if he's just going to go for the strict overwhelm tactic. And got to be honest, when it comes to double spawners, I much prefer to see some sort of win condition in there as opposed to just going for the overwhelm. When we get to the higher and higher levels of competitive Clash Royale, the overwhelm factor seems to be that much less impactful every single time you step up in terms of your opponent's quality. You know, if you go from the semi-pro scene to the CRL pro scene, you know, we see a lot more of these types of decks being played on ladder and a lot less of them being played in competitive. Although at Royale Masters, we did see a handful of these double spawner decks. We'll see, once again, how Diaboom wants to rock these 8 cards. So just kind of a stop and stare right here. Lucas GSM doing the right thing. If you guys are struggling at home figuring out how do I beat these double spawner decks, well, I'll tell you right now, and you know, if any pros are out there and they have anything to add in, is a lot of it's just kind of being very, very patient in single elixir, not ever overspending, always just looking to take those units off the board, those buildings off the board with your fireball. If you have a miner, try to get on top of them. Otherwise, it's just going to be about dealing with those units, dealing with all those spawned units until you get to double. Now we're in double elixir. This is where Lucas can go, all right, now I can actually manage the buildings and create some sort of offense. So he's starting to commit just a little bit more elixir here to start this exchange between him and Diaboom, as in the past we were seeing a lot less spent out of our Portuguese player. So there we go. It does look like Diaboom's just going for the strict overwhelm there with the E-Barbs coming in. No surprise to see the E-Barbs. Fireball going out in both directions. Nice fireball on both sides. Cannon cart comes off of its wheels. And once again, back in a stop and stare with Lucas GSM ahead by about 150, which is exactly where you want to be when playing against these spawner decks. You have to hold on to that little bit of HP advantage that you're going to have throughout the match because your spells should be doing just a little bit more damage than their chip damage. And you always have to know, look, they can't just all of a sudden get on tower. They have to either do it through fireball damage or the overwhelm. So as long as you have the damage lead against double spawners, you're in a good spot. But it's all about never over committing as we have 2 minutes left here in overtime. Nice fireball value there. Gets on top of the cannon cart, gets on top of the goblin hut. Log there to clean everything up, and there we go. 400 HP almost in favor of Lucas GSM. Like Coco Agario in the chat saying, Wero wins. Well, if he was here, maybe. Well, 14 to 15, 37. About to get into triple elixir, and in triple elixir, we'll see what happens. This has been a fascinating game because Lucas GSM has not used his Royal Giant. He's just been doing it with cycling cards in the same lane and getting fireball value in, and you know what? I'm okay with it. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of just watching spell cycle games from the very beginning, but I got to, like, and usually that's always come down to rocket cycle, right? Like, usually in the past, we've seen those rocket cycle decks with Miner, and they're all about rocket cycle control, or of course, ice rocket, I think is what we were calling it for a while, which is basically ice bow, but just became a rocket cycle deck. Looking here at this whole fireball cycle situation from Lucas GSM, I love it because he's not getting too aggressive, and I hate double spotter decks. So like I said, guys, earlier on in this game, never overcommit yourself, never overextend, and that's exactly what Lucas GSM is doing. And Diaboom, also, like I was saying, at this level, when you're playing against this good of players of this skill level, they're not going to overcommit themselves. They're not going to go and overspend and give you that opening. They're always going to have responses available for these big pushes. So I like what I'm seeing here out of both players. Diaboom doing what he's supposed to, but Lucas GSM just having a bit of an edge as he's going to go up 2-0 here. And, you know, no surprise if you've been paying attention to GameStars since Season 1. He is our invited player in Group A, and you can see Diaboom having a bit of frustration there and not being able to take game number 2. He's going to have to try to get away from that tilt. Untilt yourself, young man. You've got a few minutes left, and you've got a whole set ahead of you. You can always pull the reverse sweep, but right now, back against the wall is Diaboom, and this is double elimination here as we are working through each of these groups, so we won't be saying goodbye to Diaboom if he loses this next game. But I do think he's going to have to change things up just a little bit in the way that he is playing. He's just not... He's finding moments of where he's being too aggressive, like in game number 1, too early on, whereas we saw later in game number 1, had he just been a little bit more patient, he would have been in a better spot in those final moments when he got that game very, very close. Looking here at game number 2, honestly, I don't really know if he could have done anything differently. Lucas played a very, very tight game of Clash Royale there. As I said, never overextending himself, happy to not play his win condition, and happy to just fireball cycle out. And that just shows the maturity of this player in Lucas GSM. And like I said, just watching him this last week at Royale Masters, it's no surprise. He's a guy that has played exceptionally well against the best in the world. And, you know, I'm sure that the Red Bull MEO Portugal Open was a place where he shined as well, getting first place there. They're all familiar with that. We've seen him in GameStars a couple times. And again, when you go back and you look at what he's done as an individual or as a team's player, it's no surprise to see him here having great success in GameStars. There it is. 0 Royal Giants played, but 11 fireballs, 11 logs, and electro spirits as we get into game number 3 here. Lucas GSM up 2-0. As Diaboom's going to have to practice what he preaches, trying to stay untilted. Keep his head about him, his wits about him. Game number 3, back up against the wall. Diaboom looking like he could be going back to the first deck that we saw out of him, maybe kind of recognizing what I was just mentioning, which is that he played pretty well in that game, and he honestly probably should have won that game had he just slowed his roll a little bit in those earlier moments. Maybe that's exactly what he's going to go for here. Lucas GSM, though, has a Mother Witch, which is never what you want to see when you're rocking Witch or Graveyard. So Piggy's getting spawned here on that right-hand side. Lucas cycling Skeletons on that left-hand side. Giant does come down. Mother Witch out of cycle. Inferno behind, and I'll be honest, I don't think I want to see a Graveyard here. He does go for it. And now with only 3 elixir to defend, a Royal Ghost plus Royal Giant push. He gets a high Dark Prince down. Splash damage just getting on top of that Royal Ghost after the first hit. Tower goes down early on. We're in a bit of a base race here. 1,000 HP. No, 752 remains. That final Royal Giant shot comes in. So Diaboom going aggressive still, but less so than in the first game out against Lucas, which is why I think he's in a better spot, waiting for that Mother Witch to be out of cycle, waiting for the correct responses to be out, not sending into a Inferno Dragon, which is I think what we saw in game number 1. There was also poison there, so here we go. Game number 3. Diaboom going back to what we saw earlier. This time, Mother Witch does come down in the back, fireball in right on top of her instantly, maybe actually a little bit slow. Now we see actually a really nice counter push coming in here. Skarmy comes down. Lucas GSM gets a good log in. Royal Ghost plus untouched. Mother Witch, or excuse me, Witch comes down. And she should, nope, does not spawn skeletons fast enough. Royal Ghost does get taken off the board, though. Now, Royal Giant going to come down, and if I'm Diaboom, probably just going to eat this damage. He decides not to, which is maybe not the best. He has to drop a Dark Prince down to protect his Inferno because those skeletons sneak in front. Nice play there by Lucas GSM to just make his opponent spend just a little bit more. And now we see Giant cycled in the back. 15 seconds remain. Skarmy on top of this Royal Ghost. Mother Witch goes out of play. Mother Witch now out of cycle. We'll see if Diaboom wants to capitalize on that. I'd love to maybe see another cycle down low and then another Giant plus in the pocket. We'll see if that's actually the way he wants to go. There it is. Cycle down low is the Dark Prince. Arrows come out on that right-hand side. He will have to pay attention to this right-hand side. Lucas does have enough elixir to pop down a Royal Giant, but instead decides to go with the Fish Boy to clean up here. And now Inferno cycled. Gonna have to get another high Dark Prince here. He goes Skarmy plus Fireball instead. I don't hate that play. There's the Dark Prince coming out. Royal Giant does get one shot, does get 2 shots in. Now we have a good counter push coming from Diaboom. Will we get a Giant in the pocket? Feels a little aggressive, decides not to go with it and sets up with the Witch in the back. Witch down in the back, Mother Witch down as well. Fireball should be back in cycle relatively soon. I think he has maybe one more card to play. Goes Giant up high. There you go. Fireball down after the Giant comes down. Witch still alive, but Log will take her away. Dark Prince has to come out to meet that Royal Ghost. So far, both these guys doing a great job of not overcommitting, and you got to admit, Diaboom playing this much better than he did in game number 1, but pressure is still on. Lucas GSM playing with house money right now. Yes, he obviously wants to win this game, close out this best of 5 quickly with a quick 3-0. But Diaboom does not want to get sent down to that elimination game. Here we go. Graveyard in, Giant in the pocket. Fishboy there, but not able to pull. Arrows out early. Where is the Fireball on top of that Mother Witch? You need the Fireball on top of the Mother Witch. Giant on the tower. Still no Fireball there. Royal Giant in the pocket. Inferno Dragon there to catch. Dark Prince distracted. Skarmy comes down late. 5:36 remains, and it looks like Lucas GSM could be making this a 3-0 victory. Graveyard plus Giant in the pocket. Royal Ghost there going to connect, and Diaboom knows it's over. Fishboy pulls away, and a very nice opening set from our player from Portugal, Lucas GSM, one of the 4 players invited from Gamestars Season 1. Doing it again here in Season 2, making Portugal proud with some great plays all the way across the board. He goes, actually, I was going to say he goes Royal Giant 2 games in a row, which he technically does, but in game 2, he actually wins it with just Fireball spell cycle. Fireball plus Log, get a little bit of that Electro Spirit splash damage in. Game 3, we see him actually play his win condition at the best moments. And the reason I say at the best moments, and a big shout out to the people in the booth here at GameStars, the producers doing a great job pulling these great moments, because that first one is exactly what I wanted to talk about. You knew Diaboom was either going to go hyper aggressive there with the Graveyard. Actually, not even either or. It was just like he was going to go in with his Graveyard there. So what does Lucas do? He decides to go in with his Royal Giant at the exact same time, opposite lane. He demands just a little bit of elixir out of his opponent, and more importantly, gets good damage in on that tower so he can make it a 2-tower game, which is where Lucas wanted to be. Once he realized that he was going to be in a tower trade situation early on, getting to a 2-tower game, you saw there, he had just such a better way to control the game and create pressure. And the biggest part of that was he had a great way to deal with the Witch. He had the Mother Witch always to deal with the Graveyard. And the Royal Ghost adding a ton of pressure, always baiting out the Skarmy, which is not the best response, and or the Dark Prince. So I really, really loved what we saw there out of Lucas GSM. And I think the biggest thing that we got to talk about is his understanding of the macro was just a little bit better than Dia Boom's. Dia Boom was playing very good Clash Royale. You saw he had some nice interactions locked down, but when it talked about the understanding of the entire game, it just felt like Lucas GSM had that just a little bit more solidified. Let's take a look here at our bracket as we are through our first best of 5 of today. 3 more coming your way. Lucas GSM with an early hot start, 3-0 over Dia Boom, Portugal over Russia. And then going into game number 2, it's going to be Belarus and Egypt going at each other. The Awesome versus Predator. Predator we saw a good amount of in Season 1 here at Gamestars, which very happy to see him back and excited to see how he wants to play. He was one of the guys that played a good amount of Mortar, and Mortar is definitely in the meta once again. And I'm not complaining about it, but which version will we see? There's Mortar Royal Hogs, there's Mortar Minor Control, there's Mortar plus E-Barbs, which is popping back in. We've seen a lot of that in our GCs, and actually in a few of our players recently played games. So we'll see if Predator decides to do that, or if he's going to try to maybe change things up just a little bit, keep his opponent guessing. The Awesome on the other side of it, someone that I'm not quite as familiar with. But looking at Predator, you know, he has a 162 place finish there on ladder. He's a guy that likes to play ladder. He's a guy that likes to play grand challenges. He's a guy that likes to play in tournaments. He's got a ton of success. He's got over 100 grand challenge wins. But we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just one moment for our second best of 5 today between Predator and the Awesome. Don't move a muscle. We'll be right back.
They've made it through the forge of the qualifiers. Now it's time for them to face each other. Welcome to Clash Royale Gamestars Season 2. From October 18th to 22nd, best players from 3 regions and invited stars will clash in the group stage on the way to the throne and $30,000 prize pool. Who will survive this massacre and move forward? Tune in and watch the Royal Clash.
Hello guys, my name is Ahmed Abdurrahman, the Awesome. I have 6,500 trophies right now.
Hello viewers, my real name is Andrew Shkilyonak, also known as Predator in game, and my current trophies is 7,200.
I've been playing Clash Royale for like 5 years.
Well, I have been playing Clash Royale for like 4 years.
I spend my free time like at the gym and sometimes grinding at CR, then hang out with friends. That's after I finish my study, surely.
I prefer to spend my free time with benefit, like reading different books, and which helps me to develop my thinking, and of course, it contributes to my success in Clash Royale.
Yeah, I prefer Mega Knight decks because it's the first card that I really like at Clash Royale, and I'm famous with, I'm one of the best Mega Knight players. I got chosen at Gods of CR for God of Mega Knight, so I prefer Mega Knight, but different variations. So many decks, but Mega Knight in all of it.
I prefer to play different stuff, so I think I don't have the ideal deck, and every meta, every season, I use completely different decks, so there is no ideal deck for me.
First thing, I think they should find a really good deck they are comfortable with. Then find a YouTuber that plays like the same archetypes to learn from them. Third thing, I don't know, but they should train hard for it and focus while playing. Yeah, like don't play when you are not in a good mood or not focused.
I would say that you should work hard, dream big, and definitely never give up.
Good luck, guys, and may the best win.
May the strongest win.
Try your best, never give up, and dream big. You love to hear words like that from players that are about to go head-to-head. And also the great competitive attitude, the great competitive spirit there of may the best player win. Well, we got two very good players coming to the competition right now in Predator and the awesome OK. And both 20-win players, both on that CRL leaderboard, both playing high and ladder, both playing well in GCs, but two very different playstyles when you actually look at their most recent battles played. We'll get to that in just 1 second as we're taking a look here once again at the bracket. Lucas GSM beats Diaboom 3-0. Diaboom's still going to be hanging out in that elimination game at the bottom of the screen. We just haven't populated it yet. Next, as we have just prepared you guys for, is the Awesome and Predator. And as I was just saying 1 moment ago about these guys' great track record, Awesome is a guy that you, as you may have heard just in that video, or you may know from playing against him or being a fan of him, one of the better MK players in the game, and talk about a great time to be a Mega Knight player. So strong in the meta right now. Not a ton of P.E.K.K.A out there just because there's so much Royal Hogs. So MK obviously faring well against Royal Hogs, but as another great tanky card that is always difficult to deal with. And I always see in the chat, I always see, you know, lower ladder players asking about how do you deal with Mega Knight? Well, maybe we'll get to see Predator answer that question for you guys. And if he doesn't, maybe I'll give you some, words of wisdom that I've picked up along the way. Talking about Predator, though, looking at his most recent battles, the Awesome, we see the most recent battle that he has is an MK deck. No surprise there, but the rest of them are all over the place. I see Mirror, I see Sparky, I see Recruits, I see Hogs, I see Miner Control, I see Balloon, I see Bridge Spam, I see everything. When you go and you look at Predator, though, the exact opposite. He's been playing basically 2 decks over his last 20 plus games, and a lot of it is just minor wall breakers, whether it's the Valkyrie Tesla version or whether he's deciding to go with the Night Bomber version. So either way, and no surprise, he's starting off with Miner, a guy that loves Miner. We'll see if Awesome MK, a name I'm sure you guys recognize, and so is CHN Predators there, from all the various events they've been in, who's going to come out on top. And there you go, minor wall breakers to start. I could have guessed that. The Brawler waves hello to the Valkyrie as they pass each other. Awesome MK on the other side of it, looking like he's going to go Graveyard. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll see what cards he has to deal with. These little baity troops in the bats, in the spear goblins, and the arrows come down to clean up the bats, but Miner plus wall breakers connect on the opposite side. So about a 600 HP advantage goes to Predator. Our Belarusian player happy with that opening exchange. And a bit of a staring contest as both players tick to 10. And if you're newer to the game and you ever find yourself in a situation where nothing is happening, just probably go with the fact that they're resetting to 10 elixir, and when they play a card, they're at 10. It's a good way to reset and figure out where you're at elixir-wise. So the trick here for MK is going to be figuring out how to control that opposite lane while creating pressure with his graveyard and still being able to get arrows out on top of those bait troops. So I think what he's going to do is, yep, there you go. Cycling 1 card or so in the back, and then you go, your opponent's going to switch lanes because that's what you have to do if you're playing minor wall breakers, and you know Predator is going to do that. So I think right now, Awesome MK needs to just sit back and cycle for just a moment. Doesn't want to get too aggressive with graveyard pushes, at least in my opinion. And that's why I'm sitting here at the desk and not a pro player. He decides to go hyper-aggressive, drops that Valkyrie down right up front, and goes in with the graveyard. Log comes down to clean up some of the skeletons there. Valkyrie will not get a swing on tower. 1544 to 1452. Predator being the loser of that exchange. And not the best wall breakers there. One runs into a Brawler, the other one runs into a Valkyrie, and a little bit of minor chip damage on the back end, 1308 to 1544. And not feeling like a substantial lead here in Predator's side, because every time Awesome MK does go on the offensive, he has been getting good damage out of it. So high Valkyrie here to catch that cannon cart. Didn't feel like a graveyard was going to come down, as that would have been hyper aggressive out of MK, who's actually in a pretty decent spot at the moment. Yes, he's down a few hundred HP, but as this elixir is going to double and to triple, his responses should be adequate enough, and he should be able to still create a lot of offensive pressure. So once again, Cannon Cart going to come out, meet that Tesla. Brawler plus Valkyrie, meet Valkyrie on the right-hand side as this Cannon Cart's getting tanked for, and demands a log out of Predator, 1020 to 1544. No log available. Will MK take advantage of that? High Valkyrie here. One does not connect Mega Minion, I think, with the assist. Maybe the Archer. And holding the line is Predator, doing a great job there, just making sure nothing crosses the bridge, and just continue to be happy with this minor chip damage. And now you see that MK has got to be starting to feel the pressure. Only 500 HP remaining, getting very dangerously close to spell cycle range, and has not been able to create any offense in the most opportune elixir moments, double and triple. Now we're in triple. He's 7 seconds into triple, 50 seconds remaining. Can he figure out a way to get on the board? Not really. And that's going to be trouble there. He gets another graveyard in with the cannon cart. This could be a really nice push here as that tower is distracted. Nothing to catch the miner, though. Fireball does come down. Now just needs a fireball out from his opponent. Cannon cart caught, arrows in, too late and a little bit too passive, is my opinion there with the way that the Awesome played. Now, you got to give credit where credit is due. Predator did a great job creating a lot of pressure, being happy to switch lanes, knowing when to send wall breakers plus miner pushes, knowing when to just send his miner and defend. And that's really all you can ask for. But when you're playing that deck that we saw from the Awesome, when you're playing that fast of a cycle deck with Graveyard, it just feels like, or I guess, because there's a lot of cheap cards in there with the arrows, with the archers, with the Mega Minion. Feels like there would have been a way to maybe cycle cards in the back a little bit better, create just a little bit more of a defensive presence on the board that you wouldn't have to overspend on. It felt like he had to overspend every single time that he wanted to create any offense, because, you know, the defense, he would have to, in a sense, overspend each time there. And then if he wanted to create any offense, he'd have to spend down to 0, which then for Predator is a very good thing, because by the time that that graveyard would come out, he'd already reset his cycle and get another minor wall breakers push in. So basically on his heels is what I'm trying to say, was the Awesome for the entirety of game number 1. And also when you talk about being an analyst, being a strategist, and being a pro in this game, making it to that next level, you've got to be expecting things. And like I said, it wasn't hard for me to do a quick little bit of research here before talking to you guys here on broadcast about what I thought Predator would play. Now, the Awesome OK did a good job in the sense of not making, you know, what he was going to play easy or easy to pin down or snipe. But Predator, on the other side of it, he played one of the decks he's been playing basically only. That's it. He's been playing wall breakers plus miner with either Valkyrie and Tesla or Knight and Bomber. So that coming out in game number 1, no surprise there. We'll see if Predator wants to keep his opponent guessing in game number 2. And on the other side of it, when you go to the Awesome, looking at all the stuff that he's been running, he's had a good amount of success with a lot of different decks out there. But what does he want to bring to the competition? And Predator just going right back to wall breakers, as he had great success with it in game number 1. And this is something that we saw out of him in season 1 of Gamestars. He'd be happy to just go back to very similar archetypes or similar win conditions. He couldn't run the exact same deck back because earlier on in the international group stage, we were still playing by the twist on the duels format, which is, again, only 6 cards can be repeated, 2 had to be changed, and you had to win with all 3 of your decks. But we could see him go with maybe 3 variants of Mortar Bait. So, game number 2, bit of a similar start here. We see arrows, we see Cage out of MK, but going to his favorite card in the game, Mega Knight comes out there and trying to create a little bit of an offensive presence here. And like I said, no surprise, right? Predator now going to minor wall breakers with Knight and Bomb Tower. MK having a few more responses this time around, decides to just eat those wall breakers on the right-hand side as he was getting a little too low in Elixir and didn't want to stay on his heels for the entirety of game number 2 as he did in game number 1. So making a good decision there to just eat the damage of those wall breakers. 1884 on one side, 2102 on the other. Two pretty healthy towers, but not too far behind is the Mega Knight player. Predator now has the luxury to ignore this Hunter or log if it gets supported, and he's going to go ahead and ignore as MK lets it go die on that push. MK comes down once again, opposite lane. Bomb tower out early on from Predator, looking to defend. Should be very easy for him. He's going to send in a miner here, and he should be with wall breakers. Yes, there they are, and it will be all the way back around to a Knight to tank for this MK. And looking for that Knight is the High Fisherman. I love the play there. And that's why, once again, oh, wow. But the being a little bit too passive, or I guess maybe a little too cautious is probably the better word, is Predator. Doesn't want to get the Knight pulled away by the Fisherman. I love the start of it, but then allows the Mega Knight to jump onto tower, not playing that Knight high enough up. 686 to 1740. MK back in style. Knight will connect there, but won't be too substantial with the Hunter to help clean up. Fisherman's going to come down with Graveyard, an MK Graveyard deck with Fishboy, Hunter, and Electro Wizard. You love to see it. Skeletons piling up already. Predator going to go down in game number 2. Very well played there, and Predator not happy about that. How quickly things can go off the rails, and I think that's exactly what happened there. Now, it was really just in that one exchange, and while I was applauding and commending Predator, it actually ended up being a bit of a misplay. What happens is he gets the bomb tower down to distract the Mega Knight. I was expecting that the Knight comes down to tank for the MK, but then the Fishboy comes out from the Awesome, right? So you don't want to drop the Knight up high, or else it's going to get pulled away, and then that MK is just going to dominate your side of the map. However, if you are going to do that, if you are going to hold the Knight and protect it from the Fisherman, you still got to play it high enough to actually pull aggro on the MK. MK doesn't see the Knight, jumps to Princess Tower, gets a huge uppercut of damage in, and then it's all downhill from there. The Awesome happy to go on the offensive, gets that Graveyard in, saves it for the entirety of that game, which I like. I love that. I think it's really important to do that when you're playing Graveyard, and now going to Graveyard in the first 2 games and going to wall breakers in the first 2 games are the Awesome and Predator respectively. So will they change things up? Hope so. Let's see. Game number 3 coming your way, all tied up between Egypt and Belarus. Predator playing exactly what you'd expect, and the Awesome doing also what you'd expect. Mega Knight and some success will come up in top on game number 3. See there, aggressive with the wall breakers. Only 1 fireball came out. Bomb tower is there to help. It was really just about that bomb tower Knight exchange, and it was a really great High Fisherman. Fisherman, not really a card you see too often in Graveyard decks. I mean, I'd say really in the meta right now, we see Fisherman 90% of the time with Royal Giant. Sometimes you'll see it in other weird beatdown decks. We've seen it with Lava Hound a few times, seen it with Golem a few times, but really, for the most part, you'll just see it here. Also used to see it with Goblin Giant Sparky a decent amount, but not really in the current meta. Here we go. Game number 3. Predator just going right back to the well. Wall breakers once again. And looking like Awesome could be going also back to Graveyard. So Predator may be running back the exact same thing that we just saw, thinking that he is going to play it just a bit better than that last game with the Knight miss there on the MK. Gaming with Ash, hello. Good to see you in the chat. Wall breakers out, going to meet that Goblin Cage as this cannon card is supported by some archers on the right-hand side. Cannon card not going to connect as the Knight is played up high, gets 1 archer off the board. And nice predictive arrows there from the Awesome. Brawler going to get on tower for one hit. Yes, it does. Has to get the log out of Predator as well. Now down 1 elixir and down a little bit of damage. Nice predictive arrows there. Love to see it. I always love to see predictive plays, especially this early on in the game. It's such a gamble, but when it pays off because, look, he gets the connection there. He makes his opponent overspend, but also you talk about the gamble. If you miss it, you just waste arrows, then you're down 3 elixir, and your opponent can really punish you in single. So that's why the predictive plays in single are always so impressive to me. But maybe those arrows would have been nice on that wall breaker push that just got sent in by Predator, recognizing what's out of cycle from his opponent and punishing him for it. 1705. 1638, excuse me. 2162. Wall breaker's in. Fireball has to come out. Make sure that cannon cart does not connect. Mega Minion going to try to get supported by the Valkyrie. Look at that. Valkyrie does tank. Now Mega Minion getting tanked for. Graveyard comes in. Spear Goblin's distracted by the Valk. Arrows go down. Log comes in. Now Wall Breakers instantly out on the other side of the board. Archers up high. Going to do a good job cleaning up those Wall Breakers for a -1 trade. Miner into the safe spot. Mega Minion there to catch. Couple hits in from the miner. 1494 now to 1759. Right hand side getting a good amount of damage in from Awesome. Now a high knight here to catch. Wall breakers out immediately. Opposite lane. Cannon cart going to be there to help clean up both of those. And maybe we do see a graveyard come in here from the Awesome. Yes, he does. Going just a little bit more aggressive than what we saw out of him in game number 1. And I like it. Miner plus bats staying alive there. High Mega Minion. There's the cage. 1625 to 1158. Predator doing a good job holding on. $90 seconds left in our overtime here. 30 seconds before we get into triple elixir, which is where, once again, Awesome should shine. But he needs to get there first, and with only 700-ish HP remaining on that tower, he's going to have to make some moves, and he's got to make them quick. The overspend here defensively by Predator, totally fine in his book, as he does still get some minor chip damage in on that left-hand tower. 530 remains. Valkyrie does get in. Miner, not caught again. So difficult to catch that Miner. Wallbreaker's going to connect on that right-hand side. Valkyrie gets turned around. No good for him. Now no tank for that graveyard. Knight going to do a pretty good job cleaning things up. Miner into that spot once again. Fireball has to come down from Awesome. You never want to have to spend a fireball on a Miner, and you can see him calling good game already with 242 HP remaining. He still tries to defend. Miner goes in. Fireball comes down, and that is going to do it. You can see Awesome trying to shake that one off. I mean, you know, at this point, it's a little bit tough. It's been 3 games in a row. Will Predator just run it back again in game number 4? It's actually a little bit of his MO, as I was saying in Season 1. We'd see him come back with many different variants of that Mortar deck. Now seeing the same thing here in Season 2. He's not required to do anything deck-wise, so why not just keep rocking what's working? And personally, if I'm MK, I think he needs to go look for this. I think he needs to snipe against it. He needs to figure out a way to play through this, because he is running into the same thing over and over, and it's basically just minor control with wall breakers. How do you stop that? I think he needs to change up his deck and look for the snipe. He needs to look for it. He really does. I mean, honestly, as much as I hate to promote it, I think the double spawner deck right now would really work. You know, he's got a good way to catch those miners. He's got a place that's he's gonna have to make Predator allocate that fireball to things other than supporting the damage on Princess. You have a good way to change lanes, and also when you get into double and triple, you're in a good spot to overwhelm. Now, obviously, it's easier said than done. Predator's doing a great job defensively here. He's making it very difficult no matter what MK is playing, but I gotta say, Graveyard, 3 games in a row, it did work in one of them, but I think he needs to change it up just a bit. And I'd like to see that here in game number 4. This is a little bit of what we saw cards-wise in game number 3. 4 graveyards did come out from the Awesome. 9 sets of wall breakers and 10 miners came down. Such a strong and fast deck. Predator was trying to get the MK to splash on the King Tower to activate, so Awesome predict that with Fireball in the middle to push it out of range. Yeah, really, really nice play there. from the second game. We've all been there before, trying to get that MK onto your King Tower to activate, and we all missed it. Definitely hurts. Nice around there with the guards. MK changing things up quite a bit here in game number 4, going out with the Miner and Electro Dragon. And now Predator, exactly as I was thinking, I didn't feel like you'd run Wall Breakers 4 games in a row. Going to change things up. Looks like he's going to Royal Giant now. So Lava going to come down. Lava guards. Miner. No surprise there. One of the strongest decks in the meta right now. And we'll see how Awesome wants to deal with this push. Not having the guards or the Electro Dragon there is a bit unfortunate. Inferno going to come down, help clean up this RG. Electro Dragon comes down second later to clean up the Mother Witch. A lot of damage in on that right-hand side, but a pretty adequate push coming across the bridge here. And Fireball does have to come down. However, Inferno back on tower. That should be tower down with that Electro Dragon slowing things in. Nice play there from Awesome. 840 HP remaining, though, is going to bait out probably the guards once again here. And yep, nice guard surround there on the Royal Ghost. Going to take it out of play. Nice 3-for-3 trade. Which is something that Awesome's going to want to do every single time. He's going to want to keep those guards in cycle so that he can deal with the Royal Ghost. That way he can support his offensive pushes with his Miner. Giant going to come down again. Inferno there to meet. Doing a good job here, not just giving away this tower, making it a little bit more difficult for his opponent. Going to make him keep playing in this lane, because what's nice here for Awesome is he can always play Lavas in the pocket if he has units coming down the King Tower lane. So we'll see when he wants to do that, or if he wants to do it. No reason to get too aggressive here, as he does have a nice lead. Once again, Inferno to meet the RG. Cage up high. Skeletons there to help clean this cage up off the board a little bit more quickly, but Inferno still sizzling it off, and you can see Predator just not exactly knowing what to do. A little bit of the head scratch there with only 20 seconds remaining. Going to be tough. Royal Ghost going to come in. There's the Miner to catch. Predictive Miner, if you will. Guards up high as well. Getting all of that right on top of the Royal Giant. Doesn't even need the cage this time, but has it. And that's going to be a nice game win here. We're going to game number 5, and this becomes that crazy guessing game of what does Predator rock in game number 5. And, you know, I don't think Predator's really too concerned with what the Awesome is playing. And it was nice to see Awesome switch things up, and hopefully he does it again here in our final game of our second set today. Predator has had a lot of success running Wall Breakers and not a lot of success running Royal Giant there in that final game. And obviously running into a bit of an odd matchup here. And that was a nice fireball. It was a nice idea, but the Electro Dragon, like I said, that slow, that stun, that reset, making it great in the meta right now. Lightning not really in play a lot. Not a lot of great ways to get on top of those. I mean, even if you're looking at the decks that Predator has run in the past in this set, Electro Dragon is strong in almost every single one of those matchups. Looking here at some of the numbers that we saw in game number 4. Buildings coming out a couple times there for Awesome, still always covering his bases, but also because Goblin Cage is just everywhere in the current meta. And of course, our Belarusian player in Predator, just not really able to protect that Royal Giant from the Inferno. The Inferno just doing work. 4 RGs came down, and you saw at the very end of the game that last Royal Giant didn't even need the cage or the Inferno, really. He'd kind of set everything up at the bridge waiting for it to be dropped down, and that's exactly what you want to do in that situation. Knowing that the other tower was healthier enough, there wasn't enough time, Predator would have to go into the same lane. I think they both knew the game was all sewn up at that point. Really nice plays there. Lava guards Miner, this time with Electro Dragon instead of Flying Machine or Skeleton Dragons. So strong in the meta right now. It's just crazy. Here we go. Game number 5 coming your way here in Group A. 2 players of Group A will move on to our international finals where $30,000 is on the line, and the other 2 players will thank for playing and thank for competing, and hopefully see them in Gamestars Season 3. But that's still quite a ways down the road. Predator not going back to wall breakers. Log here going to actually get some splash damage in on that tower. So nice log there. But Valkyrie comes out up high. Now Cannon Cart going to have a tank in front of her. And a sellout push here on the right-hand lane. Cannon Cart still on its wheels. Does connect. Nice support there. Archer's right behind. Going to allow that Cannon Cart to connect. Log has to come down to stop the bleeding. And a great opening exchange for Awesome, who's sending out the sad goblin. Not sure exactly what that was about. I don't know if it was a bit of BM or... We'll see. 2026 remains on the left-hand side for Awesome. Only 1257 on the right for Predator. Predator, second place out of our Eastern European region. Fell to Topic. And the Awesome on the other side of it, coming out of the Middle East in third place. $200 there for that regional final. Gensi Aslan and Mini Kuma ahead of him in first and second place. So, not sure if that last card out is going to be Mother Witch still, or if Predator's going to change things up, but this isn't in... And there it is. Mother Witch does come down. This is the very, very popular, very well constructed Royal Giant deck that is basically the firmest in the meta. There's obviously a couple cards that can be switched in and out, but those 5 cards, actually, those 6 cards on the end are basically always there. The Royal Ghost going to come down. Cannon Cart going to run into that Mother Witch. Not the best cycle that Predator would like. And now Cannon Cart connects again on the right-hand side. Log has to come in to stop the bleeding. But now 1,000 HP lead does Awesome have. What an interesting set this has been. A back-and-forth battle, but Awesome now in a substantial lead in our most important game. Cannon Cart taking that fireball, going to come off of its wheels pretty easily. We'll see how this layered defense is going to come in. You know, Cannon Cart going to come off the wheels eventually. Goblin Cage going to be back in cycle by that point. Not even going to need it. Enough single target DPS to do the work. So Piggy spawning, but not a lot coming out of it. Another fireball comes in, cycled in on the tower. 1366, narrowing the gap just a hair is Predator with some nice spell cycling. And Royal Ghost in. We'll see how he wants to put this push together. Fisherman is far behind, looking, I think, for the Cannon Cart. Does find it here, pulls it away. Brawler going to get on top of that Royal Giant. Royal Giant will get one shot. Arrows have to come down to help out. And should be pretty nice cleanup here. Not going to have to do much about that, as Predator's not really worried about his left-hand tower. Those Archer's been doing a lot of great work for the Awesome in this game, getting a ton of value. But wow, look at that. Predator just already evening things up. 796 to 723. Mother Witch going to be cycled in the back here. Fireball does come down. Royal Giant is out, but comes out too early is the Goblin Cage, and that's a big misplay here by Awesome. Now that Royal Giant gets a free shot on that tower. 298, I believe, just a little bit outside of spell cycle range. He's going to need a couple logs and a fireball, or a couple fireballs, but not going to be able to do it, as this graveyard is going to come in, and Predator is going to have to play some great defense here. Look at that. Fireball is in. Archer's late. Wow. Predator skating by the skin of his teeth. Piggies getting some hits in on that tower, bringing it within fireball range. Archers come down just a second late. Not enough single target DPS to take those pigs off the board before they get on top of the tower. And of course, Graveyard just a little bit slow on the draw for the Awesome in a couple games. And actually in our first set too, we saw Graveyard just being a step behind the opponent's win condition. And right there you see skeletons piling up. 458 HP remaining on the tower, but Predator gets there just in the nick of time. Halfway through our day, we did it in 3, we did it in 5. A lot of great competition to start off our day, and start off our week of Gamestars competition. Just a reminder to everyone watching, everyone listening, we are going to be here all week long. Same time, same place, 5 days of competition, 4 best of 5s every single day, and some of the best semi-pro amateur players in the world. And Predator from Belarus just barely getting out. And there you go. We've got it set. Our elimination game and our winners matchup. We got 2 more best of 5s coming your way. We will be saying goodbye to either Diaboom or the Awesome today. And then the winner of that set will go on to play the loser of our winners match. So the winner of Diaboom against the Awesome will go on to play the loser of Predator versus Lucas GSM. The winner of our winners match gets a golden ticket onto our international finals, $30,000 just on the horizon for them. The loser of that winner's best of 5, either Predator or Lucas GSM, will then be put in a position to play for their lives, as this is a double elimination format. The Awesome made a great run for it, but was just not able to put it together in those final moments. Would have loved to see him play. It's crazy how much Graveyard we've already seen today. We've seen the same player in each respective set play a lot of the same Graveyard win condition. But, I mean, I guess conversely, you saw Predator there run wall breakers in a handful of his game, but he was just more successful with it. So maybe that's why I'm not talking about that. And I am talking about the lack of success of Graveyard. So, halfway through our day, as I just said, 2 more best of 5s coming your way. We're going to take a short break right now. We'll be back with you guys in just a minute with our elimination match. Going to say goodbye to one of those guys, whether it's Diaboom or the Awesome. Don't move a muscle. See you in just a second.
And we're back. Gamestars Clash Royale Season 2 is running full steam, packed with high-octane action, intricate strategy, and mountains of gold. Mix the elixirs and hop on your hog, Chief. Time to find out who will dominate the clans. Subscribe, join our stream, and witness brave heroes fighting in Gamestars Clash Royale Season 2. Ride on, Piggy!
Hello viewers, my name is Andrew Shkelenok, also known as Predator.
Всем привет, меня зовут Эльдар, и мой никнейм Diaboom.
Hello, my name is Lucas, and my nickname is Lucas GSM.
Hello guys, I am Ahmed Abdurrahman, the Awesome.
4.
4.
Oh, very epic. 4.
3.
I feel like 8,930.
Если я не ошибаюсь, то это 8900 кубков.
It's probably like 8,700 something. I'm not sure. I don't have the exact number, but around that.
It's, I think it's nearly 8K and 900 trophies.
14.
13.
14.
13.
90.
Думаю, около 80.
Like 300, maybe 400, 300.
I don't know. Well, 100. I don't know.
Probably like 13 spell cards.
Около 30.
7? Maybe I missed one.
8, 9. I didn't calculate it.
Force Arena.
На 4.
I believe it's in like in the P.E.K.K.A Playhouse. I'm not sure which is the number. Probably like 10.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
1000 and like 800.
2800 вроде.
Like 546.
1000.
16 players.
16 игроков.
It's 16 players.
Okay, let's see. 32.
So, a fun little bit of trivia there for our competitors in Group A. Looks like Diaboom and Predator were the winners there at 3 and 3 apiece. Got pretty tough, honestly. Some of those answers, there were some pretty tough ones in there, and I'm impressed even with getting 3. I wonder how well I would have fared. Probably perfect, honestly. Probably would have been perfect. Just kidding. I had no idea that 131 damage or whatever. All right, here we go into the second half of our day at Gamestars. Make sure you guys are following along with everything's Gamestars, whether it's on Twitter, on YouTube, everywhere. I hear we're on TikTok. I don't know. I don't have one. Here we go. Lucas GSM in our winners match in our best of 5. One of them will go on straight to our international finals. Gotta feel good there, not have to keep playing for your lives. Diaboom and the Awesome. Struggling a little bit was the Awesome in trivia, but played really well in that best of 5, taking it to game number 5. And Diaboom looking to redeem himself after a very quick 0-3 set to start his day. And what's it all about? Why are we here? As I said, $30,000 on the line in our international finals. We're going to be here all week long. 4 best of 5s every single day coming your way this week. And honestly, we'll be doing Royale Masters on the weekend. So you got nothing but Clash Royale content coming your way all week long, which is really, really exciting. And here we go. Game number 1 of our elimination match. Both these guys trying to bounce back from their opening sets. Diaboom going right back to spawners. I think we saw that out of game number 2 from him. And Awesome just looking like he's going back to graveyard again with his archers. Seeing a lot of the same here. And competitors maybe practicing for their finals format, which will have 3 pre-submitted decks. Those decks can repeat 6 of the same cards each. You have to win with all 3 of your decks, though. So, you know, you got to get there first. That's the most important part. But practicing the format also very important, because when you get to that part of the competition, when you get to that stage of our international finals, you don't want to be behind the rest of the competition when it comes to building these decks. So a lot of the same things that we've seen in set 1 and set 2 here. Awesome MK, bottom of your screen, going Archer's Cannon Cart Valkyrie with arrows and fireball. Graveyard in there as well. And top of your screen, Diaboom, going to have some E-barbs in there, most likely looking for the late game overwhelm. Mother Witch going to help out a lot with those graveyards. See how this matchup goes down. First little glimpse of what that overwhelm might look like. 5 elixir in hand to deal with these E-barbs in the opposite lane. Nice high archers to pull, and they are not pulled away, though. So Valkyrie going to have to come down. Cannon Cart off the wheels going to do it. Good job cleaning up on that right-hand side. Couple spear stabs coming in, or I guess tosses, as we get into double elixir. We'll see if Awesome decides to keep up the tempo, which is kind of one thing it looked like he struggled with in game number, or excuse me, in his here we go. I can do this. In the second set of the day, in his first set of the day, tempo was something it looked like he struggled with there. But in his defense, Predator was playing very loose and fast and very effective. So looking for that overwhelm once again. Cannon Cart comes down on one side. E-Barbs plus Flying Machine in the other with Goblins to help. High Mega Minion here. Nice job there. Going to keep this Archer on the board for just a second longer. Cannon Cart played just a little bit lower than I think Awesome would have liked. Now that Archer goes away, and the Mother Witch gets a little bit more value than he would have liked. Archers come back in to take that Flying Machine out of play. Bar Barrel in, but this Cannon Cart's going to do a lot of work. Don't love to see that Valkyrie dropped up high, but does decide to go in with the Graveyard here. Cannon Cart to help. Odd placement of that Goblin Hut on the opposite side of the board, but probably just trying to look to give 0 spell value to that right-hand tower is Dia Boom. So what's interesting now is when you look at this matchup and you look at Awesome's situation, had he been watching Lucas GSM's matchup against Diaboom earlier, do you think he's going to be happy just sitting back now with a substantial damage lead on that right-hand side for the next 90 seconds, just defending and just spell cycling? We'll find out. Personally, I think he needs to get at least one more Graveyard down. Age going to come out here. Double spawners in. It's because good arrows value on that left-hand side. We'll see when Awesome decides to go for it. Brawler there to distract that Flying Machine. Flying Machine going to get taken off the board by the Archers. Arrows do come down to help clean up the Goblin Hut. Second Goblin Hut comes down, or I guess 8th Goblin Hut if you've been counting, who knows. Fireball in on both as well. And this is exactly what I was just talking about. How comfortable is Awesome going to be just spell cycling his way out? Mother Witch now cycled in the right-hand lane. There you go. Graveyard does come in. Nice bar barrel there to pull that Valkyrie out of range. No tank for those skeletons. Valkyrie now going to come in, getting tanked for by the Skellies. Flying Machine up high to make sure Valkyrie does not get on tower in case those E-Barbs run around. Just kind of bail on their job. And now we see that overwhelm push coming once again. Nice fireball value coming in on both sides of the board. Cannon Cart still on its wheels. Mother Witch there behind. And Diaboom, once again, really struggling with this double spawner deck. And this is exactly what I was saying at the start of our day. At this level, in Clash Royale competitive play, playing double spawners is really, really difficult. You know, there was a couple years ago when we saw, I think it was Sieg's, right? That sounds like the right name. Sieg's no-win condition deck. But even that deck had the overwhelm value from things like the Bandit. Cannon Cart, when it had just recently changed, it was still fast on its feet. So when we're talking about decks like this, you really are waiting for your opponent to just misplay defenses. You're looking for them to misstep on defense, overspend on defense, or get too aggressive, get a little bit too hungry, and then go hyper aggressive on offense, and then they have no way to deal with those buildings stacking up. But you saw there, the moment that there was any sort of substantial damage lead by Awesome, he decides to sit back, start cycling cards in the back, make sure that the arrows and fireballs are there for Mother Witches and spawner buildings, and then just hangs out for the, I guess it was like 90 seconds when I started saying that. So, you know, as much as I understand how strong this deck is in the meta at the top of our screen with the Flying Machine, with the Fireball bait in there with the Mother Witch, with how good E-Barbs are, with how annoying Furnace and Goblin Hut are in the meta, that's a ladder deck, man. That is not a competitive Clash Royale deck. And the reason is, and I'll stand by it, is you're not going to run into players that are this calculated on ladder over and over and over. I mean, even the best players in the world, when you look at their ladder win percentage, they're sitting in the high 60s, 70 usually at best, which means they're still losing 4 or 3 out of every 10 games they play. Which means they could still be pushing with spawner decks on ladder because they're still losing a handful of their games. But when it comes to competitive play, when you know exactly who you're playing up against, when you know exactly what's strongest in the meta right now, and when you know what's at stake, you're never going to overcommit on those offenses. And when you're playing defense, you're going to play it as efficiently as possible. You're going to take damage where you need to so that you can deal with those buildings. I think Diaboom needs to shelf that deck for the rest of the day. So Diaboom going very aggressive here. Cannon card plus Graveyard in the right-hand lane. That's basically just going to be tower down. No defense comes out from MK, so MK is going to decide to just eat the damage, take the tower, support this push with the E-Wiz and probably a Graveyard of his own. There it is. Graveyard comes down. Mother Witch in the back. No Elixir to fireball her off the board. MK leaps to that tower. Splash damage coming in on those piggies along with a bit of a stun from the Electro Wizard. Fireball comes down late, takes the Mother Witch out of play, and we are finding ourselves at a very, very early tower trade, 2-tower game. Graveyard going up against Graveyard. Question is, will it be a 3-crown or not? We'll find out. Diaboom making sure he's not vulnerable in the pocket. Recommend MK to do the same, and there it is. Look at that. Still good at my job. Fireball comes down. Now, a Cannon cart plus Graveyard in the pocket could be devastating, but it's also a 10 Elixir spend, and I don't know if Diaboom will get that aggressive, but maybe he's feeling a little bit desperate, down 0-4 on the day. You look there at the win percentages on the screen, you can see that the Awesome are dead even. You know, we went to game number 5. He dropped game number 5 to Predator. So he started this set off in the negative, but now batting 500 is our Egyptian player. Arrows coming in. Hunter going to take this cannon cart off of its wheels, and then a bit of a reset. Graveyard comes in, cannon cart in the pocket, exactly like we talked about. Awesome was ready for it. E-Wiz comes down to help. Brawler going to be there to clean that up. Fireball comes down. E-Wiz goes off the board. A really, really nice hit here from Diaboom. Back in the lead. So Awesome looking like he could be going for a 3-crown here, looking to try to create some pressure to that King Tower, as he knows it is a little bit more difficult for him to get on top of the Princess Tower, and this way he'll be able to have a counter push going into the lane that he wants to defend. Graveyard in, Knight in the pocket, Princess Tower distracted, MK knocks back, Princess resets. E-Wiz comes down late. Cannon cart still completely healthy at the bridge. MK just leaping all over the place, but a really nice counter push comes in. A Brawler, a Fish Boy. MK not quite up front. Brawler sneaks ahead. And an E-Wiz to boot on the back end. Graveyard does come down. High Goblin Cage here. I like that Goblin Cage. Maybe a second MK? No, decides to go Hunter instead to help clean up all these support troops. And not the best Hunter, honestly. Don't love seeing that Hunter played up that high. Gets cleaned up pretty easily, distracted by the Knight, and then Cannon cart off of its wheels, putting in the DPS needed to remove the Hunter from the game. So a bit of a reset here on the left-hand side. That seems to be where all the action is going to be taking place for this final minute. Triple Elixir is among us. That Hunter targeting, so difficult. Second MK does come down. Nice pull there on the Mother Witch. This could be a great moment for Awesome. 2 Fishermen on the board. Hunter on the board. MK up high. Fireball value in. Does he drop anything in the pocket? No, he does not. He goes Hunter at the river, and then you see him call the good game. 20 seconds remain. MK does come down, but just no way to get any damage in. Tanks will be there, at least for the opening moments here of this Graveyard. Brawler does its job. So does the King Tower. 13 seconds remain. Goblin Cage up high. Not going to do it. No time. Mother Witch goes down. Graveyard is in, but just not enough time for Awesome to get enough damage in on that King or the Princess Tower. Diaboom picking up his first game win of the day, and what a necessary win that was for our player from Russia. Talking about starting your day off 0-5, getting eliminated from Gamestars with an 0-6 run. No one wants that to happen. You don't even want to see that happen, no matter who you're a fan of. Even if you don't want Diaboom to win, you at least want to see him pick up a game, and that's exactly what he just did. The Graveyard mirror matchup, well, not really a mirror matchup, two very different variants of Graveyard and played very differently from both of these guys. A tower trade early on got us to a very long 2-tower game, and this is how it all started. The pile up. The moment that happens, you recognize, all right, let's go for a tower trade. MK plus E-Wiz. Fireball comes in late with the Graveyard as well. Mother Witch goes off the board, and we're at a 2-tower situation. But from that moment on, it was all Dia Boom for the rest of that game, being able to control the Awesome very, very well on his side of the map. And of course, being able to sneak things in the pocket with that Graveyard being dropped down, whether it was a cannon cart or a knight. Both times, you could see the Awesome was struggling a bit with cleaning up those Graveyards. Of course, that Mother Witch, so pesky, always going to demand the Fireball out on Dia Boom's side of the board. So, we're all tied up. Going into game number 3, curious who you guys in the chat think is going to walk away with this set. Who do you think is going to walk away and go on to play the loser of course, Lucas GSM versus Predator? And which one of them will be eliminated from the competition? 4 Graveyards out in both directions. But a lot of cages and knights. Cannon carts helping Dia Boom out. A lot of strength on the ground there. And while it looks like the Awesome had better control when you look at the Fisherman, the E-Wiz, and the single target DPS from that Hunter, just not able to put it all together the way he wanted. Game number 3 is Among Us between the Awesome and, of course, Dia Boom. Finally picking up a win. Bit of a struggle today. And looking at his player profile, we did see a good amount of Graveyard being played. I really, truly do believe he needs to stay away from spawner decks for the rest of the day, and we'll see if that happens. Oh, well, look at that. Ask and ye shall not receive. Spawner coming out early on, Flying Machine up high, meets another Flying Machine. And already good damage in here for Dia Boom on the left-hand side. Dia Boom, a pretty fascinating player when you look at his player profile. Just not really a guy that pushes ladders, doesn't do a lot of challenges. Kind of an up-and-comer, if you will. Still looking to make a name for himself in competitive play. Spent a good amount of time over the last few days playing a P.E.K.K.A. Hog Rider Minion Horde deck with Wizard. Very, very odd. His Electro Spirit build deck competition, but on ladder, still rocking that a couple times. So 2 very different looks here. 2 very popular decks in the current meta, but one of them definitely more preferred at the competitive level. Coming out from Awesome here, Minor Guards with Inferno and Flying Machine. One of the most popular decks in Grand Challenges and top ladder right now. Dia Boom, kind of the same situation, but like I've said, like I'm a broken record, double spawners in competitive play does really seem to struggle. Maybe he'll make me eat my words. In game number 3 here, he's tried this double spawner deck out. I think this is the 3rd or 4th time today, and he has not won with it yet. Nice arrows coming in there to help clean up. Mother Witch not populating the map with as many pigs as she may have liked, but a big push coming in here from Dia Boom, and that's exactly what Awesome does not want to do, putting himself in a very rough spot there. Electro Dragon does come down and, saves a little bit of face with the reset onto the guards, and of course the Brawler there to help also. 12-18 to 14-15, and as we get deeper and deeper into double and triple elixir, this could end up falling very much in favor of Awesome, especially with this Electro Dragon connecting there and the Miner helping take that Goblin Hut off the board. E-Barb's in. We'll see if arrows come down. Arrow's not coming down on top of this, feeling like he's got it locked down. It is Awesome. He has to play the guards there at the last second, but does give the damage lead back to his opponent, and a little bit of Fire Spirit splash there at the end. Cannon card to distract everything here. Lava Hound on its own. Flying Machine going in the pocket. Miner on top of the Mother Witch. Arrows to take her off the board. Miner now tanking for these Lava Pups. Flying Machine goes down, and that should do it. That should do it. 338 remains. Electro Dragon very healthy. Second Electro Dragon cycled out. Mother Witch has to come down in response. Doesn't really want to spend a lot of elixir on getting another building on the board. Is Diaboom. Has to go aggressive here with the cannon cart at the bridge. Has to create some sort of offense. Guards are there. Now the Goblin Hut comes down. Electro Dragon is distracted, so Mother Witch still alive. Now she goes down. Miner goes to the back of the tower. Arrows come in, and that should do it. There it is. Diaboom just struggling with this double spawner deck. I know I sound like a broken record. I know I keep bringing it up over and over and over, but you have to just look at the evidence. And the evidence is very clear. It's not working. And you know, I'm not sure if he's looking at this format and going, I want to stay true to it. I want to stay true to what we're having to do in playoffs. I brought 3 decks to the competition. I need to win with all 3 of them because that's what I'm going to have to do if I make it to international finals. But right now, this double spawner deck giving him nothing but trouble, just not able to keep up with what's popular in the meta right now. And, you know, we'll see what happens here in game number 4. Diaboom with his back up against the wall once again. 1 game in the bank, 2 in the tank in this best of 5. And the Awesome looking like he could be going on to play the loser of Lucas GSM versus Predator. And kind of what I was talking about now that we're in between games is, you know, looking back at the games that Diaboom has played, looking back at the decks that he's played, playing some really interesting off-meta stuff. You know, a lot of it is because of duels format, but even in ladder, you know, Hog Rider, Wizard, Minion Horde, P.E.K.K.A. Rage, fascinating stuff there. You know, looking at some of these duels battles, he played a very interesting Giant Skeleton Mirror with Princess and Bandit deck. So not really sure what he was. I mean, maybe he's just trying to make it so his opponents have no idea what he's going to play here at Gamestars, because if I'm doing it, I would assume the analysts or the other competitors are doing it well as well, going back and looking at the decks the players have played throughout the week. And, you know, not to toot my own horn, but that's exactly what we saw in Predator, right? We saw what he was running all week long, and basically for that entire set, that's all he ran other than the last 2 games. So Diaboom back to spawners. Fireball out early on here from Awesome with the Fish Boy, and we'll see if anything changes up here for Diaboom in an elimination game for him. As I told you guys before, Diaboom did come out of our Eastern European regional qualifiers, regional finals, where he got a 3rd place finish right behind Predator. Awesome MK going back to that deck we saw before. Most likely going to be Graveyard is one of those last 3 cards. Ewiz is there to help take that cannon cart off of its wheels and should be back around to Fireball. But not wanting to spend too much elixir and trying to create just a little bit of presence on the board is Awesome. Fireball down, Flying Machine out. A bit of a stop and stare here for a minute as these units pile up, as do the buildings. We're about to tick down. 70 seconds left of regulation play as we're about to get into double elixir, and we'll see just how long it takes for Awesome to get on the offensive. You know, never wanting to overcommit against these decks, and it seems like once he'll have good control of the map is when he'll try to go in with his Graveyard. Fireball on top of the Ewiz, but Fishboy there to help out, and maybe he finds a moment here to go on the offensive. No, does not. Ewiz going to cross the bridge and go into no man's land as that Fireball goes in on the Goblin Hut. Awesome doing the correct thing right now, dealing with 1 building at a time, not thinking too much about getting offensive presence on the board right now. Right now, he just wants to make sure he can control the game before trying to win it. He was going to come down here to help out. High E-barbs there, plus cannon cart behind. Fireball actually not hitting all 3 of those units as the Fisherman pulls away one of the elite barbarians. Arrows come in on top of that Flying Machine. Would have been nice for Diaboom to get that flying machine down just a second later, but did need to help support the push that was coming across the bridge. And now we see 3 buildings on the board. Awesome going to start to get a little bit overwhelmed here. We'll see if he takes time to clean up some of those buildings, play a little Sim City, and get back to Clash Royale. Right now, one of the things that I really like out of Diaboom is he's spending so much more of his attention about keeping buildings on the board and getting fireball value when it is allotted to him, as opposed to what we've seen a lot of him doing throughout the other games in his respective sets, is just trying to create that overwhelm with bridge rushes. Now, last time we did, or excuse me, on the last exchange, we did see the E-Barbs plus the cannon cart come down. We're seeing it here once again on the right-hand side, but really it's about keeping that MK at bay. Not really about trying to overwhelm like we've seen him do in the past. And I actually like this adjustment out of him, and maybe he'll finally pick up a win with this deck. 90 seconds remain. 70 seconds remain. I can do math. Diaboom now with 1 minute left to go in this game number 4. Looks like he might be pushing it to another 5 of 5 in these best of 5s, and that's exactly what you want to see out of the guy that started today off really rough, going 0-3 against Lucas GSM, now maybe able to stay alive here in game number 4, playing a deck he's had very, very little success with on the day. 2 MKs out in both directions. One of them goes off the board. Hunter's still there to help, but Cannon Cart on its wheels and very, very healthy, plus a flying machine and an ocean of goblins on the right-hand side. There you go. Gonna get this furnace to tank for the MK. Flying Machine still on the board. Flying Machine getting a lot of really, really great value here. Gonna get even more now as the Electro Wizard, not focused on the Flying Machine, now gets to the Flying Machine. MK still in play. Plus the Fisherman. 10 seconds remain. Graveyard finally comes down. 4 awesome. Fireball goes in, misses the Mother Witch, and it looks like Diaboom finally finds some success with the double spawner deck. We're going to game number 5. You see the calm wave kind of rushing over Diaboom. We saw him getting pretty tilted early on, but you did hear him in the opening videos of the day from our first 2 players talking about you got to stay not emotionally invested in these games. You need to be able to bounce back quickly after a loss. Once you lose, you got to let it go. And honestly, with the amount of times he's lost with that deck today, talk about putting, you know, what you're preaching into practice. Great stuff there. I'm checking the wrong Diaboom. That makes sense. I mean, it has the same logo there, but I guess maybe I could look for him on a different website, because this is the only one that's popping up on Royale API. If you could link it, or you could let me know. Lucas GSM in the chat as he's sitting back waiting for the rest of this competition to kind of come to a close on our day. Him and Predator are going to be our final matchup, our final best of 5 after a really, really nice opening set from our Portuguese player there, going 3-0 over Diaboom, who right now is hanging on for dear life. And I'm going to do a little bit of research here and see if I can find Diaboom online. These are the numbers for game 4 of 5. You can see they're a lot different this time around for Diaboom. Spending a little bit more on his spells, spending a little bit less on his E-Barbs. Didn't have to use his Mother Witch much, as that graveyard never really came into play. Just keeping those buildings on the board. It's nice to see this time around. Game number 5 is underway. Both these players playing for their lives. One of them will move on. The other one will say goodbye to for this season of Gamestars, and hopefully they were able to win a little bit of money in their regional finals. There we go. Now I was able to find Diaboom. Thank you, Lucas. Which is weird because it basically was the same thing I typed in before, but this is much better. He's ranked 86th on the CRL leaderboard. His highest trophies are 8.3K. His Finished 8,400 in the world. Currently, right now, is where he's sitting at with over 10 GC wins and really nice finishes here. Clash Royale League 2021, cool badge there, 86th place. That's always fun. And a lot of high tournament and arena season finishes there from Diaboom, who is allowing that Mega Knight to wreak havoc on his tower, going back to the giant graveyard deck that we've seen him play a couple times today. Not the opening, though, that he would have liked to see. Then as you go back and look at the actual battles played by Diaboom, they're correct, Diaboom. Thank you very much for that, Lucas GSM. He never played his Mortar Elite Barbarians deck that he was rocking a lot over the last few days. Didn't run Bowler Loon Freeze either. It's funny, I think I actually was looking at this profile earlier today and then ended up looking at the wrong one later on from this 20-win player who has run a lot of the double spawner decks as of late. So my apologies there, and thank you so much for the correction. As we see a big, giant graveyard push coming in on this left-hand side. Fireball going to come down on top of that. Witch plus Inferno Dragon. Giant gets cleaned up off the board, and an NK does a pretty good job of playing defense, but opposite lane pressure is in. Dark Prince connects to the tower with the Skarmy behind. Skarmy gets taken off the board by the Ewiz after that Dark Prince charge does come down. Nice damage in there. Mega Knight leaps on this tower as well. 460 and 1868 on Diaboom's 2 towers, and now going right back on the offensive. Fireball going to do a good job against that Hunter, pushing it into range of the Inferno Dragon. Now, second Fireball coming into play, this time from Awesome. Inferno on tower, but Ewiz there. Fishboy pulls the Giant away. Minute 45 left here in overtime. Awesome deciding where he wants to spend his elixir. Decides to go MK up high. Graveyard coming in the opposite lane. Brawler going to be there to set the line as the Ewiz is there to help clean up those skeletons on the back. No tank for the Skellies. Giant pulled across the map. MK jumps back across. Graveyard is in, but what a precarious situation to play that Graveyard. Still ends up working out. Arrows coming to clean up. Diaboom gonna say goodbye to Diaboom in this competition. Awesome. Able to make it work. MK's connecting on both sides of the board. Graveyard coming in late. Arrows to help clean things up. Witch is there to help play a little bit of defense, but not going to be enough. So, just as quickly as we learned exactly who Diaboom is, we are going to say goodbye to him. Thank you so much for the incredible competitive play that you brought to GameStars League, and congratulations on being our 86th ranked player in CRL 2021. But it's all about the Awesome. Moving on, staying alive. Going to play against the loser of Predator, Lucas GSM, which that best of 5 is coming your way right now. Lucas, who was in the chat, might have to say goodbye and go and get ready for this next game. And there you go, arrows coming in. Witch comes down. Too much damage already done. Fireball in, and Diaboom makes a good run for it. Awesome knows that that was a big win for him to pick up, staying alive, keeping his GameStars run alive as well. And like I said, one more best of 5 coming your way today, and of course one more best of 5 on top of that in Group A in general, but that'll come later on in the week in our deciding matches. Those will happen on the final days of the week, which will be fun for you guys to see who moves on and who we say goodbye to. So that match, the deciding match, match number 5 in Group A between the Awesome and the loser of Predator, Lucas GSM, that'll take place on the 22nd. All of our deciding matches will take place on the 22nd at the end of this week. So a lot of fun there on Friday, figuring out who's going to move on and compete for 30 grand or who's going to say goodbye and watch their friends compete for a lot of cash. Game 5 of 5, 2 back-to-back best of 5s. Diaboom not going to be able to make it, and I think honestly for Diaboom the biggest thing for him was that spawner deck, that double spawner deck. We saw him find a little bit of success with it throughout the day. In general, it didn't really seem like he was playing any of his true comfort decks. Maybe he's just playing what he's most comfortable with this meta. He had a very interesting play style but it didn't end up working out as the Awesome was able to stay alive. So we're going to take another very short break right now before we come back to our final best of 5 of the day. Belarus versus Portugal, Lucas GSM versus Predator. Don't move a muscle. We'll be back in just a moment.
They've made it through the forge of the qualifiers. Now it's time for them to face each other. Welcome to Clash Royale Gamestars Season 2. From October 18th to 22nd, best players from 3 regions and invited stars will clash in the group stage on the way to the throne and $30,000 prize pool. Who will survive this massacre and move forward? Tune in and watch the Royal Clash.
And we're back. Gamestars Clash Royale Season 2 is running full steam, packed with high-octane action, intricate strategy, and mountains of gold. Mix the elixirs and hop on your hog, Chief. Time to find out who will dominate the clans. Subscribe, join our stream, and witness brave heroes fighting in Gamestars Clash Royale Season 2. Ride on, Piggy!
So looking on paper, you might think that Predator is actually going to be the favorite going into this final best of 5 of the day between Predator from Belarus and, of course, Lucas GSM from Portugal. But the reason I say that is because when you go and you look at the numbers, right? You look at where Predator is in the global rankings for CRL. You look at maybe one of the things he's done is 100 Grand Challenge wins. But Lucas GSM is our invited player in Group A. He did not have to play through those regional finals. And he had great success in season number 1. You just saw the schedule. You saw how we've gotten to where we are today. Lucas GSM hasn't played since the beginning of the day. 3-0 over Dia Boom. Then we went to a great best of 5, back-to-back best of 5s. Actually, first Predator taking down the Awesome, and then the Awesome staying alive, eliminating Dia Boom, and going on to our decider match, which will be played on Friday against the loser of this next best of 5 between Lucas GSM and Predator. Excited to see what these guys are doing today. We saw a lot of minor wall breakers out of Predator. No surprise there when you go and you look at the matches that he's been playing as of late on his profile. A lot of minor wall breakers, whether it's with Valkyrie Tesla or whether it's with Knight Bomb Tower. On the other side of it, Lucas GSM, a quick 3 up and 3 down from him. So excited to see if he's going to be able to replicate that in our final best of 5 today. You should be following along with everything that we're doing. GameStars CR on Twitter and on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed and turn on those notifications. That way you know every single time that we go live, which we'll be doing all week long. That's right, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a bunch of GameStars action coming your way. And then, of course, our finals. $30,000. $30,000 up for grabs. $7,000 goes to first place. You cut that in half, you give it to second place, then $2,200 for third and fourth place. Fifth place gets $1,600, but $7,000 for first place. That's why all of these players are putting together the best decks they can, playing the best Clash Royale that they know how. 2 players from every single group will move forward. Look at a lot of the other players out there as we look through the rest of this week. A lot of names that you guys might recognize, but of course, our invited players from Season 1 success. Lucas GSM, who you've seen dominate today. SB from the UK. Hugo, our former champion from France. And of course, One Hive Hunter, who did some really exceptional stuff in Season 1. Our Swedish player in One Hive Hunter, but was not able to put it together. And of course, a lot of repeat customers from Season 1. Like, I don't know, COK, Demas, In Thrill, Gen C Aslan, all of those guys you probably saw in Season 1, and Predator, who we're about to see right now. Just waiting on this game to get started, guys. It's our final best of 5 today. And who do you got? Do you have Lucas GSM, who's been untouchable? Or do you have Predator, who was able to battle through adversity in a great best of 5 between one of the better MK players in the world and end up coming out on top? So one guy who's had a very easy path, or, well, I don't want to say too easy. Diaboom, definitely a great player, but very one-sided path, I should say, for Lucas GSM. Or will it be Predator from Belarus? Let us know in the chat. Looking at some of the other players out there that you might recognize in this competition: Demas, Minikuma, Ligan, who you might have seen if you were watching Royale Masters, St. Belican, if you're a fan of CRL. In Thrill is back as well, our Polish player who played well in Season 1, who played very well in Royale Masters this last weekend. SB is going to be joined by Sasa, COK, and Topic in Group C, but tomorrow it's going to be Group B. We're going to start our day off with In Thrill versus Gen C Aslan. Looks like a flashback to Season 1. And then, of course, Hugo CR versus St. Belican, our second matchup of the day tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of fun. 4 very, very talented players who have a lot of accolades under their belt. Here we go. Final matchup of the day. Lucas GSM from Portugal, top of your screen, 3-0, 100% win rate. Bottom of your screen, going to be Predator from Belarus. A little bit more struggles there. Goes 3-2 with a 60% win rate on the day. One of these guys gets to move on to our finals. The other one will have to play just a little bit more to secure their ticket. Snowball up high, looking for some units to take out. Probably still looking for the bats, just the bats were played lower there by Predator. Nice play by him, giving respect to his opponent, recognizing he's playing against one of the better players in the entire competition and does not want to give him early, easy damage. Does not get that King Tower activation. Would have been really nice for Predator there, but also doesn't take any damage, so definitely not a loss. Lucas GSM, as of late, been playing a lot of Royal Giant, playing a good amount of Ram Rider MK. A little bit of Electro Giant even in there, as Electro Giant has been up and down in the current meta. But Royal Giant does seem to be his go-to win condition. Predator on the other side of it, you guys have heard me say it a bunch. Our 106th ranked player in the world, according at least to CRL standards. Doing a lot of wall breakers. Kyle Davids. Yo, what's up, Andrew? Greetings from South Africa. Great to have you here. Excited to have you here, man. I hope you've been enjoying the competition today. Miner caught by that bandit. Getting a little bit of damage in on the tower. Valkyrie doesn't get a little spin to win there, and you can see a little nod of the head there from Lucas GSM going, okay, I'm okay with that. Would not have loved to see that Valkyrie get on top of tower, but okay to take a few minor hits. Ewiz maybe going to come down the right-hand side. There it is. Ewiz on the right-hand side. Bandit on the left. Bandit not going to get the damage in. Yes, it does. Gets those wall breakers taken off the board. 2102, still the weakest tower. To 3 untouched towers, 2 of them owned by Predator. You just tuned in. What did you miss? Well, you missed most of the competition today, but don't worry. It's going to be on VOD. And like I just said, I'm going to be here all week long with a ton of great competitive play. So if you missed it today, make sure you subscribe to GameStars CR on YouTube. Turn on those notifications so you can join us bright and early tomorrow morning, at least if you're on the West Coast. Fireball takes that Ram Rider out of the equation, but a slight elixir lead in favor of Lucas GSM. Let's see how he wants to turn that into some damage, finally, hopefully, for him. Bandit does not get damage done in time. Wallbreaker connects. Not the end of the world, as the towers are basically at the same HP, but the biggest problem there is that the Bandit actually takes the damage from the Wallbreaker going off and creates no push in the left-hand lane. Or at least, not a big push in the left-hand lane. Lucas GSM just having a lot of difficulty figuring out any way to get damage in on tower. Bandit sneaks behind. Spear Goblins get on. MK is there, but Valkyrie plus Tesla will do good cleanup here. Bandit pulled to the side by those Spear Goblins. Great placement on those Spear Goblins. Not only doing work on that Inferno Dragon, but also pulling the Bandit into the center. Nice double duty there. Tesla still playing cleanup. 11:55 on the left-hand side with a minute left to go. This is where Lucas needs to make some magic happen. Bandit there going to dash on top of the Valkyrie. Fireball going to hit MK plus Ram Rider. E-Wiz plus Bandit behind, and a second MK comes down. Love to see it. MK going to leap to the Miner and then turn and take the Spear Goblins out. Snowball comes in, but second Tesla in play. Bandit here looking to overwhelm is our friend from Portugal, and he looks like he might be putting it together. No. Nice hold here. Bandit going to go to those Spear Goblins, bats to distract the Inferno Dragon, and Predator played that defense absolutely picture perfect. Game 1 going to the Belarusian unless something crazy happens here in the final 15. And you see the tilt of the head there from Lucas, just knowing the time has run out. Predator not even really saved by the Bellas. He is just able to lock down that defense over and over and over. And Lucas needs to go back to the drawing board and think about what happened there in game number 1, what the biggest problem was, and how he's going to be able to break through. Because honestly, as he moves through the rest of this set against Predator, he's going to run into a lot more great defensive buildings with strong tanks on the ground and a lot of pressure from those wall breakers and a lot of baity cards also. So bringing all that into the equation, how does he want to adjust moving forward? I imagine we'll probably see some Mother Witch, and I imagine we'll probably be seeing some Royal Giant. This was a nice moment here for Predator. He gets that miner to the back of the tower. You can see that Lucas can't really overspend on the left-hand side. He needs that snowball to take the bats out of the equation so that he can at least get some presence with his MK, or maybe help his Inferno Dragon out. But Predator always having him exactly where he needed, and Lucas GSM just never really having the responses that he wanted in cycle when he needed them. And that's not because he's not playing well. It's because his opponent is making him play a bit uncomfortably, which is exactly what you want to do. So Predator playing really nice here. Got a personal best on ladder of 8.3K. Lucas GSM on the other side of it, a little bit lower at 7.6K. Not ranked in accordance to CRL 2021 standards, but still a very well-known player out there. 10 GC wins under his belt, 14 to be exact. When you look at Predator on the other side of it, though, 159 Grand Challenge wins. So really impressive stuff there. And he has a rank 15 tournament finish out there in the world. And the highest he's ever finished on ladder is 209th. Lucas GSM with a tournament finish of 218. Kyle, what'd you miss? Oh, wait, we already answered that. And here we go. Lucas doing exactly what I was planning on, or what I suspected, which is going to Royal Giant. And Predator on the other side of it, changing up the equation just a bit, but still sticking to a lot of the same cards. Gonna just probably swap out Knight and Bomb Tower, keep a lot of the same. Gonna go ahead and log that tower. Maybe it would have been nice to log a second earlier to hit the Fish Boy, but damage done already. Lucas in a nice lead here by 300 HP. Mother Witch out. Mother Witch is going to demand that fireball every single time from Predator, and Luke is going to really just look for value. You know, there's so many opportunities to get good Mother Witch value. The bats, the Spear Goblins, the Wall Breakers. Even the Knight. Predator has these interactions on lock. Last second Knight drops down. Royal Ghost doesn't get on tower. Knight going to play double duty there, distracting that Mega Minion. 1806 to 2054. Fisherman cycled in the back. Wall Breakers go out opposite lane. Now Log is out of cycle. How does Predator want to punish? Goes bats here. Maybe Miner to the inside. Miner up high. Fireball in instantly on top of that Mother Witch. Skeleton's there to help clean up, but a couple more Miner hits in. And you know what? Honestly, That's really all Predator wants out of these exchanges. Every single one of them, he can just get a few minor hits in and play some good defense. He's in a good spot. Fishboy gonna get distracted for 1 second there by those Spear Goblins, then pulls the Knight away. Bats plus Bomb Tower gonna be easy cleanup for that Royal Giant, plus this Fisherman, and Wallbreaker connecting on the left-hand side. Lucas GSM cannot be happy about that. 1289 now to 1982. The gap widens. Defensive miner out. Just add a little bit of DPS on top of this Royal Giant. Not really have to worry about the Fisherman pulling anything away. Knight comes down second as he sees the Royal Ghost is right there in tow. Fireball on top of all those. Great fireball value there. Now Predator can happily send in a Miner Plus on the opposite lane, and he does. Miner Plus bats plus wall breakers, and 1 bat stays alive. Sequence pretty well there, and also gets a ton of damage in on the right-hand side. Knight plus Miner connecting there, and a reset here from Predator as we see another big push coming across the bridge. Biggest problem right now is he is just not able to break on through. How do I qualify for this tournament? And under what region do qualifiers does South Africa fall under? You know what? I am not the person to ask those questions. I can maybe ask production. They can give me a bit of information there. But the best thing I'd say to do is follow GameStars CR online and see what you can talk to maybe some of the other competitors and look at some of the posts they've made about joining those regional qualifiers. Fishboy in, pulls that Knight away. Log comes down. Spear Goblin's not there for cleanup. Royal Ghost going to help this Royal Giant, but enough DPS there to clean everything up. 1 Royal Ghost swing comes in on the left-hand side. Feels like the first time that Lucas GSM has touched a tower in a minute or two. 1 minute remains. Triple Elixir is among us. Said among us a few times today. That's fun. Royal Giant down. Bomb Tower cycled out early just in case the second Royal Giant does come into play. There it is. Second RG goes down left-hand side. This is Predator's moment of truth. Can he defend adequately here? Log knocks the 1 Royal Giant back. Second Royal Giant not going to connect. Gets back around to the Bomb Tower just in time. And as quickly as it looked like a glimmer of hope was in the picture for Lucas, it is vanished in a flash from great defense by Predator. Lucas GSM starts his day 3-0, starts his second set 0-2, already back up against the wall. And you see again, just the tilt of the head, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to break through. And how could you? Predator playing perfectly in his second set of the day after going the distance against the Awesome earlier on. Now making it look easy against our invited player from Portugal in Lucas GSM. But is a reverse sweep among us? Or will Predator replicate the greatness that Lucas found in his opening set? As of right now, it's looking like the latter as opposed to the prior. 2 games up, both in the bank for Predator, both in the tank for Lucas GSM. Let's look at some highlights from that last game. And really just the amount of pressure created by Predator. His control of the game is just so impressive because he's hyper aggressive, but completely in control for the entire game. And we all knew that 2 Royal Giants were going to come into play late into the game once Triple Elixir became a factor. And what did he do? He had that second Bomb Tower ready to go. He had the defense locked down on the right-hand side, made sure that that Royal Giant did not get on tower with a nice late log, and then a second Bomb Tower comes down, not in the center of the map, but on the left-hand side. Make sure that he doesn't give too much value to those other units that could be crossing the bridge. And like I said, that's all you really got to do. From there on out, it was easy pickings. Lucas GSM back up against the wall. Obviously not in a position to be eliminated as he is up 1-0. But right now down 2-0, looking like he could be part of that decider match. The decider match, obviously, 1 will go on, 1 will go home. And the winner of this set already got their hat in the ring for $30,000. Here we go. Game number 3 coming your way. Lucas going back to what we saw earlier in this set, game number 1. Predator going back to what we saw him run in game number 3, I believe, in his previous set. So Ram Rider does not touch that tower. And this deck was a Royal Giant, Royal Ghost, Fish Boy, Mother Witch, Skelly's Mega Minion, Log, Fireball deck out of Predator. Going up against Lucas's Ram Rider deck, which he was just not able to break through, but that was against a very different archetype. Maybe he'll have a little bit more success here. Trying to get that snowball in maybe just a second earlier would have made it so that Fish Boy did not get the pull in. Bandit Dash would have came down, but interactions on lock from the Belarusian. Fireball coming out from Predator here. He's always doing a good job holding those fireballs, making sure those Ram Riders do not connect. But as you can see, the Elixir very heavily in favor of his opponent. Lucas GSM just going to poke and prod here with that Barb Barrel, still ticking to 10, 2 Elixir ahead, gets a Mega Knight down in the back. Royal Ghost pressure opposite lane, going to probably see a Bandit. There it is. Bandit comes out in response, and we'll see if this is the moment where Lucas decides to go on offense with the Ram Rider behind this. No, he decides to go Poison up high, and there it is. Ram Rider comes in late. Ram Rider going to get on top of tower. Yes, no. Fireball comes in last second. Does touch there at the very end. 21-30 to 21-42. Lucas GSM in a lead for half a step. But then the Piggy giving it back over to Predator. Fisherman up high here, looking to pull that Mega Knight in. Electro Wizard right behind to clean up that Mega Minion. Nice fireball value there, and looking for a King Tower activation. Those skeletons are too high, though, so Royal Ghost is going to have to come down. Yes, it does. Royal Ghost comes down and doesn't have the Elixir for fireball, but Log is in, and wow. Once again, Predator doing one of the hardest things in the game, which is keeping a Ram Rider off of your tower. Stopping the charge is one thing, but just stopping her from getting to your tower is an entirely different conversation. Speaking of difficult things that have happened in this set, Lucas creating any offense has been very, very difficult. High Inferno here pulls the Mega Knight before it leaps is the Fish Boy. Inferno, though, cleans the Fish Boy off the map. Skeletons there to help distract this Bandit and keep it off of the Mother Witch. Royal Ghost up high here to deal with that Electro Wizard, and gonna go invisible until it runs into that Ram Rider. And of course, this Piggy gonna pop from this Inferno Dragon. Nice pull here on the Fish Boy. Not gonna have to use any spells. Finally gets to get an offensive spell out. 70 seconds remain in what could be the final game of the day. But right now, Lucas GSM holding on for dear life. 1694 to 1898. And just having difficulty creating presence offensively, especially with one of the strongest cards in the game in the Ram Rider, just not able to do it. Love the placement there on the Fish Boy, but Bandit is going to dash on through. Log comes down. Mega Minion plus Royal Ghost is there, and the Snowball. Still no Ram Rider connection from Lucas GSM. 40 seconds remain in our winner's match. One more cycle through is Lucas's last chance. MK cycled in the back, 1622 to 1850. Poison plus Snowball. He does have the advantage damage-wise in that sense over Fireball Log, but just by a hair and not by enough. Log in early on to get damage in on the tower. Slow that Ram Rider down. Ram Rider getting tanked for. Fireball comes in last second once again. Mega Knight stacking up at the bridge. They're both there. One Mega Knight going to the Fish Boy, the other going to the Mother Witch. Fish Boy still alive. MK on the tower. That is just enough, just in time. And Predator not able to close things out. We're going to game number 4. You love to see the last-minute dash from Lucas GSM. 30 seconds left in that game. In an elimination game, I applaud the maturity and the wherewithal to go, okay, I know there's 30 seconds left. I know that that timer is ticking white and red, but I got to reset this push. It's the only way I can win is by the overwhelm, and he does just that. 2 MKs in, 2 Ram Riders in, Inferno Dragon getting great value, Fishboy and Mother Witch splitting the difference of the offensive push, and an MK connects the tower late. And Predator not able to pull off the 1-2-3 punch quick sweep over Lucas GSM, who stays alive. But every game from this point on out for him is an elimination, well, we'll say a deciding game. It'll send him down to the deciding match, which that is an elimination match. This, because of his success in his first set, he's still got a life to give, but we all know he just wants to go on through to those playoffs and not have to think about competing in our deciding day on Friday. Those Mega Knights stacking up did great work. Predator, though, never getting a Royal Giant out to play. You wonder if maybe that's where a bit of a misstep came in from him, and we'll find out here in game number 4. He's probably going to go right back to that well. So a Royal Giant face-off here in game number 4. Lucas GSM able to pick up a win in game 3 in those final seconds. And there you go. Royal Giant down. Mega Minion turns around. Fishboy going to pull the Royal Giant in. Skeletons plus Mega Minion there to help. One shot will come down, and a Mega Minion there to help clean up just a little bit. If it doesn't get a shot in, does not get a shot in, will now need to be responded to, but probably going to be ignored, honestly, when you think about what he has to deal with on the left-hand side. So Mega Minion will get a couple swings in on the right-hand side, and this Royal Giant will get a couple shots in on the left. Lucas GSM already down 500 HP to start this exchange. Last card in this matchup from Lucas is going to be his Mother Witch. There it is. Predator on the other side of it. You've seen all 8 as that fireball comes down and cleans her off the board. Royal Giant cycled in the back here by the Portuguese player, looking to maybe do a little bit of what he did in game number 3, which is cycle from the back and then overwhelm up front. Fisherman going to pull this Royal Giant in, and not usually what you see is a Fishboy coming out in response to the Royal Giant, but a log comes down just in time and allows 2 Royal Giant shots in, 1452 to 1772. It's a tough game of chess there in the middle of the map when you have Fishermen on both sides, because you don't ever want to play your Fishboy to a place where it will just get completely blocked and taken out of the equation. And there's no way for you to mitigate that damage on the Royal Giant other than just the one log that you have. So it'll be a fascinating game of chess between these two great players and where their fishermen lie. Fishboy up high once again. Royal Ghost has to turn and face. Log comes down perfectly timed, and that's exactly what Predator wants to do every single time. Gets the offensive push out of sequence, gets the Royal Giant away from the support troops, and obviously away from his Princess Tower and off the board before damage done. One shot comes in. Second shot should come down as well. That log actually misses the Royal Giant, 944 to 1772, and how quickly the tides have turned in this best of 5. Royal Ghost gonna get on that right-hand tower, gonna bring it down to 1300. One more swing in, should get a third swing as well. There it is, down to 882. Now, Predator back in the lead. Royal Giant there, but Fishboy pulling it right into the tower. Fireball gonna come down. Royal Giant gets a second shot in. 202 HP. Should just be a log and a fireball away. Royal Giant coming down right now. Maybe a log early on, but he's not gonna be able to cycle all the way back to a fireball in time. Will he? I think he will. That's 3 cards in. Needs one more. Gets all cleaned off the board. Fireball comes down, and that last log will be in just a moment. And just like that, our invited player is going to be sent to the decider match as Predator sends in a log, celebrates, and is the winner from Group A. The next time you see him will be at our international finals, where he'll be competing for $30,000. And what a fascinating day we had for our day 1 of GameStars. 3-0 to start. 2 back-to-back games of 5. Then we go to our winners bracket, which looked like it was going to be a complete sweep. Lucas GSM puts some magic together in the final moments of game number 3. 2 MKs on the board, 2 Ram Riders on the board, Inferno Dragon getting a great amount of value. But you go to game 4, the Royal Giant Showdown. Neither of them getting to be able to really do what they wanted with the Fisherman. I guess Predator did in that one exchange. He pulled to the center of the map. He got to log in late, reset that RG, no damage done. Lucas just not really able to mitigate damage on that right-hand side of the board. It felt like almost every single time an RG came down from Predator, he was able to get a shot in. So Lucas GSM will be back on Friday. That's the 22nd, where he will be facing off in our decider match against the Awesome. As I said, one of them will move on to the playoffs. The other one will say goodbye. And obviously still getting a little bit of prize money will be all of our eliminated players as they are in our top 16. And once you are in the top 16, the least you can walk away with is $1,000. The players that will be eliminated first every single day will get $1,000. And then all the players getting eliminated on our decider day will get $1,200. So this is what happened. In case you got short-term memory or you're a goldfish, 3-0. Lucas GSM over Diaboom. The Awesome falls to Predator 2-3. Diaboom gets eliminated from the competition by the Awesome, who is now waiting to play Lucas GSM on the 22nd. And Predator gets to move on through to our November finals, where $30,000 on the line. And of course, that grand prize of $7K. Who doesn't want $7,000 more dollars? I know I do. And tomorrow, we'll be back. Same time, same place. Starting off with our Polish and Turkey showdown between 2 Gamestars vet in Inthrill and Gen C Aslan. Then after that, our former CRL Pro from St. Belican going up against Hugo, our former Gamestars champion. It is a stacked lineup tomorrow, and you will not want to miss it. 4 best of 5s coming your way. We'll be here all week long. Really, really excited. And again, 4 groups narrowed down to 2, 4 invited players, and 12 players that were earned spots through their regional qualifiers. So exciting stuff all week long from Gamestars. And you should be following along with everything Gamestars CR on Twitter, Gamestars CR, and of course here on YouTube, which I'm carrying out, looking at the chat. We'll get some in-game promotion later on this week to get more of you guys to join along with the fun. And that's all we had today. 4 best of 5s. Great plays all day. Congratulations to Predator, and good luck to the players tomorrow, and of course Lucas GSM and the Awesome, who we'll see on Friday. Thank you guys all so much for being here. Thank you so much to Gamestars for putting this together. $30,000 on the line. That is not a small prize purse. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Keep on clashing.
They've made it through the forge of the qualifiers. Now it's time for them to face each other. Welcome to Clash Royale Gamestars Season 2. From October 18th to 22nd, best players from 3 regions and invited stars will clash in the group stage on the way to the throne and $30,000 prize pool. Who will survive this massacre and move forward? Tune in and watch the Royal Clash.